Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Yes, here we are, the ultimate Cleveland sports show. Look at Mike Polk.
Woo!
Over here.
Bro.
Here we are. The day has come.
Baker is gone. He's out of here. Are you sad?
Oh, my God.
Of course I am. Look at me. I'm representing. I'm not as like an honorary Baker bro.
Yeah.
I thought they should have some representation on the panel.
That's true with Jay not here.
And I do, yes, with Jay not here. I thought that I should represent him and for Baker bros everywhere. And so I'm doing this somewhat ironically and somewhat sincerely. I recognize that the shirt that I got at Value World Thrift Store is 2 sizes too small. Save it in the comments. I don't need to hear it.
Gee, the Panthers wanted him so badly they might give up a 4th-round pick 2 years from now.
I'll go ahead and take it. And I'm honored to be sitting here by the president of the Tremont Baker Bro chapter, Micro. Great Lakes Brewery thanks you for being such
Micro
a
Brews.
Tyvis, we were practicing earlier. You said you hate Baker. No, he didn't.
Whoa.
He didn't say that.
What,
No,
bro?
Well, you didn't get a chance to react yet. What do you think? Baker's gone. He's gone.
I mean, it's good for him. It's one of those things that everybody can finally move on. I was so sick of everybody. This story just keep being spent around. Where will Baker go? Will he start again for the Browns? It's obvious that the Browns were not going to have him under center ever again. So it's nice that he'll be able to start his career with another team. I don't know how I feel about Carolina. That's because their offensive line was not great. You got Ben McAdoo, who said he was the 6th best quarterback when he was coming out in the draft.
Being generous, let's be honest.
So you got Robbie Anderson who had
Bring back Josh Rosen. Let's go.
Robbie Anderson had his comments, so I'm pretty sure he's team Sam Darnold. It's going to be interesting, very interesting. That Week 1 matchup is one that must see TV.
Guys, I'm glad Baker's out of town. I'm sick of Baker. He played decent football, to be fair. He played decent football. He was much better than anything the Browns have had for 20 years. But as I saw somebody, I think it was Ben Axelrod on Twitter, who was commenting on all the lauding of Baker. People somebody wrote a column about how we should Baker's one of the game changers in Browns history because he's the best quarterback since '99. So should we have been lauding Derek Anderson for the last 20 years too because he had one good season? Baker's a decent quarterback. I was fighting with Rob Parker and Chris Broussard on their show last night because I think it was Rob.
During your time off, you decided to go fight with other people in the evening.
When I wasn't trying to fix the problems with my Locked On podcast for 12 hours yesterday. I'm not bitter about that at all. By the way, check out my new podcast, AdamTheBull.com.
Might be available.
Yeah, it might be, might not.
never know.
I have no idea what's
Might be
going on. But I've lost my train of thought. Baker's gone. It's time. It was time for him to move on, and now we can create the drama of now who will they replace him with? The Browns have broken the record, I think, for most quarterback transactions in a season. Think about this: first they traded for Deshaun Watson, then they traded away Case Keenum, then they signed Jacoby Brissett, then they signed what's his name?
Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs. Thank you. And now they've traded Baker, and they still might not be done because if Watson is suspended for the year, they are probably, at the very least, going to have to make some other quarterback transaction if he's done for the year.
Chaos is a ladder. And there is opportunity here, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my mouth is watering for the possibility of the Garoppolo thing. But before we bury Baker completely, I do think that we should address, and believe me, this isn't a super long thing.
Yeah.
But I do want to remind everybody why there are people who are upset about Baker leaving despite not the best record. He was actually under 500 in the regular season. Not ideal.
Worse record than Brian Hoyer in his Browns.
Worse record than Brian Hoyer. Worse winning percentage than Brian Hoyer.
By the way, Brian Hoyer had far less talent around him than Baker Mayfield.
Far less talent. Okay, in the middle of me trying to stand up for him, let's stop burying him.
It's okay. You got to let him get his flowers. Let him get his flowers so he can smell them.
This is why people are some people are upset about the Baker thing, and people want to give him credit for his time here.
Yeah.
Here's the reason. 1 second. I got it. Here it is. Ty Detmer, Spurgeon Wynn, Jeff Garcia, Trent Dilfer, Baker Mayfield. All right. Now, those are some of the people that preceded this man. And like in any situation, so much of everything is relative. And I know that I'm not telling anybody anything about how we've had bad quarterback play here. But you do have to remember that some of these young people, particularly the younger Baker Bros in this age demographic, and I'm if you're this old and you're a Baker Bro, then brother, you got some issues, just so you know. But the younger guys, they never got to see good football. They never got to see anything fun. They only got to hear our stories. They got to hear about Bernie Kosar days. And even we didn't get to see a Super Bowl, but at least we got to see competence. They got to hear our old dads talk about Otto Graham and stuff. They only got to live these experiences vicariously. They had a couple of teases, like you mentioned, back in the day with Derek Anderson, that amazing year, and everybody was like, is this it? But even in the back of our minds, we knew that wasn't it. Didn't we? Didn't we know that wasn't a real thing that was going to sustain? Yes. So this was their first time that they actually got to have somebody, a guy of their own generation, go out there and do something that actually made them happy as Browns fans so that they weren't just getting hammered in the Muni lot every Sunday for no good reason. And that is why we have this connection. It's because of the terrible past that we've had.
I think it's one thing that you like. I'm a big fan of history, so you look back at history and you try to figure out what guys do and what other similar situations have there been. And so my thing is, when you look at Baker Mayfield, there was no other prior situations to this. I think one of the things that really helped Baker identify with this community was he was the rebound, right? And we've been rebounding from the Browns leaving in 1995. He's the rebound girlfriend, right? Listen, I got married on a rebound.
Great metaphor.
I got married on a rebound. Trust me. It ain't a good look. So
now she knows it.
And, well, she good knew that. She good knew that. But you look at it, and the thing that Baker gave you, he gave you confidence, right? He gave you that swag, that thing in your stomach that says, hey, we got a guy too. And he made you want to wear your colors and not apologize for being a Browns fan. He said, yo, I'm gonna come out here and be brash. I'm gonna be charismatic. I'm gonna take it to everybody else. And for so many years, the people in Cleveland felt like we didn't have a representative of what the city meant. We got that backlash all the time. We got that hate. And so Baker came in and personified that angst, that energy level. And then on top of it, he delivered it on the field. He played with that same. Delivered it.
Whole league telling us, be ashamed of being a Browns fan. The Browns fans are a joke. The Browns are a joke. And they just got people being told that for so long. And here comes this punk who comes out of nowhere and just says, no, we're not doing that anymore. Now we're changing the attitude around here. And whether that was real or fake, sometimes you can will these things into a belief system within a fan base. And I feel like he did that in a way that nobody else did. Johnny Manziel couldn't. He had that same kind of vibe and swagger, but nothing to back it up. And he was a far worse person as a human being.
Yes. Listen, Baker deserves some credit for the franchise heading in the right direction. But ultimately, you have to always be looking to get as good as you can at the most important position.
That's what
they've done here. Baker is, I've used this comparison once before, I'll use it again for those who haven't heard it. If you're on a desert island and you're starving, and you get off that desert island and you walk into a room and there's some Little Caesars pizza and some Domino's pizza and some Pizza Hut, that's going to taste like the greatest food on earth.
Yes.
But any intelligent pizza fan knows that you go to real pizzerias and not chain pizza, even though we've lost all those sponsorships now for pizza. But when you're starving, as Browns fans were, and I get it.
And that's the explanation.
Baker is sometimes because I'm very critical of Baker and G's been very critical, it turns into you guys hate him. And I don't know him personally. I don't hate him personally. But I just think he's average. I don't think he's a scrub. I was asked last night, is he going to be a backup in his career? No, I think he'll be one of these guys like Andy Dalton or like
Kirk Cousins.
I don't know these Kirk Cousins personally.
He throws
but like he's a guy who's going to start. He's going to be okay. Teddy Bridgewater maybe. But you're always going to want more.
Agreed.
That's how I see it.
And none of this is about me saying that Baker should be our franchise quarterback forever.
You're right.
I'm only trying to explain how, especially to national media people who are like, what's the big deal? Why are these people so upset? Look at these numbers. Look at his interception ratio. You guys don't understand what these people have been through. And you can't unless you were here.
I just don't understand why it's such backlash for for the Browns wanting to get better? Like, why are we frowned upon for wanting to be get the best possible player for the quarterback position? I don't understand that. Like, in a league where everybody seems to now be getting rid of their quarterbacks if they feel like they can't win a Super Bowl. Yeah. I mean, you got San Fran just did it. Yeah. You got the Rams just did it.
Right.
You got, I don't know what Seattle just got rid of Russell Wilson.
To your point,
I don't know why is it frowned upon that we're doing it?
Yeah. You know, Mike said that there's a lot of national media saying, well, of course they're getting rid of it. There's a mix, right? A lot of the national media are saying that, like, they should get rid of Baker because he's not that good. Mm-hmm. But there's also a lot of people in the national media, including, again, one of the guys I was on with yesterday is like, why did the Browns replace Baker? He won them their first playoff game in 30 years. I said, that's a loser mentality. That's not the goal. The goal is not to win one playoff game. And again, I'm not saying, Baker stinks, but that's not the goal. Why? You're right. The Niners went to the Super Bowl with Garoppolo and said, we're not good enough.
And then last season went to the NFC Championship.
Rams went to the Super Bowl with Goff. They said it wasn't good enough.
I think you look at it like this. It's like you could look at the social construct of humanity, right? You got people at the top, people in the middle, and people at the bottom. When you're used to being on the bottom, right, and people are used to making fun of you, right, people don't like when you decide to change, right?
That's a fact.
If you're trying to lose weight,
right,
watch what happens. You lose 10, 15 pounds. The first 5 days, they're like, well, that's good for you.
Are you okay?
Right.
By the time you
and
get
they're looking to pile on you as soon as it goes backwards.
By the time you get to 40 pounds, they say, well, I don't know. I liked you better, bigger. Really?
It looks strange.
Like,
this doesn't fit with my concept of how I perceived you.
Who's the guy that plays in those movies who was big, but he got small?
You're talking about Nutty Professor?
Who?
Ant-Man.
No, I know.
Superhero.
No, I mean, talking about fat.
He was fat. John Goodman?
No.
Professor,
He was
Jonah Hill.
That's his name. Jonah Hill. Everybody's
Nice
like,
job.
Jonah Hill.
I was trying to do the math on what that.
There it is. He understands the translation.
In my mind, I'm like, I like Fat Jonah Hill better.
We like Fat Luther Vandross better. We feel like Fat Luther with the half curl. But people always are going to want you to be here.
Yeah.
And when it's San Francisco is fine, when it's the Pittsburgh Steelers is fine. If Pittsburgh Steelers trot out Duck Hodges, they'll say, look what Pittsburgh has done. 8-8. They've done yeoman's work. Forget that, man. Don't be afraid to say we got a quarterback and y'all going to have to deal with us now.
The thing I don't understand is, and I keep saying this, and people keep throwing shade at me like I don't know what I'm talking about, but Kevin Stefanski, when you get a new head coaching job, you get 2 to 3 years. If something doesn't happen in those 3 years, they're moving on. Stefanski's first year, great. Second year, not good. This season right here means a lot. So how can you be mad at a guy? If I'm going to get fired, I'm going out with the quarterback of my choice.
Yeah.
Flat
I
out.
may not have him this year.
Well, that's true.
Right.
But at least it's my decision. They chose Jacoby Brissett as well as a backup. So I'm going to at least go out with my guy, and I can live with that. I'm not about to live with somebody else's guy that I don't necessarily 100% believe in.
Right.
Can't do it. And learn from the people in front of you. Hugh Jackson didn't have his quarterback. He never eventually got to get his own quarterback, right? That wasn't the plan. You said that's a perfect thing. We have to realize Baker Mayfield was here already.
He was
inherited.
That's true.
They inherited that. So they get it right to go out fighting, swinging, and saying, listen, I'm going to live on my own merits with this one.
All right, guys, let's bring Mikey McNuggets. We're doing something a little – obviously, this is the first show we're doing where basically the whole show is about this Baker being traded and what's next for the Browns. So we're going to do it a little differently today. Mikey McNuggets is going to throw a bunch of questions at us along the way, and it's time for your first question, Mikey. What do you got?
Yeah, so we have over 24 questions we're going to throw at you throughout the day. Hopefully we get to all of them.
Yeah.
They don't all have to be super long. We're going to ask the guests. We got Dequel, Aditi, and Leroy coming up.
Right.
So stack show, but when the news
Leroy
broke
at
yesterday,
11:30, Aditi 11:45, Dequel 12:30.
Yep.
Hey, it's just good thing I had 3-4 locos before this, because I'm ready to go.
Well, I'm glad Mike Polk came in his Baker Bro outfit because our number one Baker Bro, Jay Crawford's MIA this week. So my first question for you guys, Steve, let's take it. How do you think Jay's doing right now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jay's.
I think Jay's fine.
I think he's one of the, he's probably okay now. It hit him a little bit because he was the one that was really pushing the narrative that Baker should come back and they should run it back with Baker. And I think he's finally coming to the sense that, they were never going to bring Baker back again.
He and Brad were on that train.
I kept saying, I don't see it.
Not just Jay.
A lot of people.
It was a lot of people.
75% of the population was like, hey, guess what? If Baker don't do it, come on back in here.
Yeah.
But hey, guys, hold on. We got breaking news. Steve, take the stinger.
What do we got?
From a 300,000-foot boat, Mr. Crawford has called in.
Oh, nice.
We actually have reaction from the man, the myth himself. Steve, let's hear
I hope he's holding a
from Jay
marlin.
Crawford.
Please be holding a marlin.
Well, here we go. I remember before the NFL schedule came out, and we were talking about dream matchup in Week 1 for the Browns and nightmare matchup for Week 1 of the Browns season. And I said the Carolina Panthers would be my dream matchup, and it could also be our nightmare matchup. And what do you know? The schedule came out, and it was the Carolina Panthers against the Cleveland Browns in Week 1. And now Baker Mayfield is going to be the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. Should be an interesting game. Should be very interesting. See you guys Monday.
Wow. Talk about saying
a little sad.
Talk about saying absolutely nothing on a boat. No, it is hard to feel bad for a guy in a boat, though, isn't it? Can we agree on that? Like, I can't sympathize.
Can we agree he was sockless as well?
Yeah.
He was definitely sockless.
Definitely.
No doubt he was
By the way,
sockless.
Jay's a guy, and obviously we haven't known Jay that long. I've only known him well for 2 months, knew him a little bit before that. But Jay's a guy, to his credit, he seems like a guy that doesn't get too high, too low.
No.
Right? Like, he keeps it in perspective. He keps a real even keel. Like me, I'm like, I'm here and I'm here.
Yeah. He's
pretty,
if you've known Jay for 2 months, then you know Jay.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's not like he's not like hiding all of this.
Right,
you
exactly.
know? But he is. He's an emotionally mature guy.
Yes.
He has like a very healthy emotional outlook on life.
Yes.
The thing is, he is open about stuff. He's like, I would really like that. And then he's like, that's sad it didn't happen, but today's another day.
Moving
and that's
along.
how he is. And it's infuriating and admirable at the same time.
Yes.
Well, you rich and got a boat, and you can be even kill all you want. You right here.
He's upper middle class.
You
To be
know,
clear, he's only upper
come on,
middle
he
class.
made that ESPN money for a long time.
You know, hey, Browns lose, I'm going on the boat. Browns wins, I'm going on the boat twice.
Exactly.
There's no losing with that guy, you know?
Yeah,
right.
that's a plus.
Mikey McNuggets, question 2. What do you got?
Let's take it, Steve. Yeah. Question number 2. Which team has a higher ceiling now? Carolina with Baker or Cleveland with Jacoby Brissett?
It's actually an interesting question.
That is a good question.
Interesting
guys.
question.
I still think it's the Browns. Obviously, Baker is better than Jacoby Brissett. And if Jacoby Brissett played 17 games, I'm actually talking myself into Carolina could win more because the NFC is much weaker than the AFC.
Yeah, it is nice.
I still think, without looking through Carolina's schedule and playing bad enough we play the Browns schedule game, let alone the Carolina Panthers schedule game. I ultimately think that I know that we are paying a ton of money to Myles Garrett. We're paying a ton of money to Denzel Ward. We're paying a ton of money to both our guards. We're paying good money to Nick Chubb. We're paying good money to David Njoku. Paying good money to Amari Cooper. On and on and on. If these guys are as good as we think they are, and I think we know they're good, well, if Jacoby Brissett's the quarterback, they better pick him up. Because he's not a quarterback that's lifting up the rest of the team. The rest of the team's got to lift up the quarterback. And if Jacoby Brissett just doesn't make mistakes,
right?
If he hands the ball off, throws for a decent completion percentage, and doesn't turn the ball over a million times, I still think the Browns can win a decent amount of games. Are they going to the playoffs with Jacoby Brissett? Probably not. Are they winning a Super Bowl with Jacoby Brissett? No chance.
Yeah.
But still a good competitive team? Yes, if he played 17 games.
So my question is, you talking higher ceiling for this season? We talking this season,
right?
Or
That's a
just
good
overall?
question. Good qualifier.
Okay.
I assume neither will be a quarterback for their team.
So this season, the Browns should definitely win hands down, and I'm gonna tell you why. One, it's a whole offensive change. Ben McAdoo's first year there, that offense is not going to pick that playbook up in that quick. Two, they offensive line was horrendous last year. I mean, they're going to have a rookie left tackle this season. We don't know how he's going to pan out.
Right.
So
we
know
Baker doesn't handle pressure well.
Right. And on top of all of that, you got Baker coming in. Now, granted, this will be his 5th playbook that he'll have to learn. So he's shown that he can learn it. So he won't get the whole offense. I think it'll be one of those things that has to go week after week. We'll add more onto your plate. But coming into that Browns game, it shouldn't be a complex playbook for him, because you can't throw a guy a whole playbook and expect him to just pick it up and know it all in 1 week or 2 weeks of training camp or whatever it is. So I'm going with the Browns with Jacoby Brissett at the quarterback position. Like I say, if Kevin Stefanski can have a decent season last year with a banged-up Baker Mayfield, and he's bringing all those people back with more receiving weapons and stuff like that, he has no excuse to not go above 500 this season.
Plus, guys, tons of continuity on the Browns outside of the quarterback and the wide and Amari Cooper. The defense is basically the same with a couple of small additions. All the coaching staff is unchanged, right? And you think about it, Carolina's only really good skill position player is McCaffrey, who's been injured a lot the last 2 years.
Well, they got DJ Moore.
DJ Moore.
All right, fair. DJ
I like the.
Who you taking, DJ Moore or Amari Cooper?
I'll stop. Come on now. Come on. You're not gonna do that.
Well, you guys just
hold
hyping up DJ
on.
Moore.
Wait a minute. The receivers, though.
Yeah, I'll take I like the rest of their receivers pass
more than ours.
Right.
I mean, Robbie Anderson's all
Robbie
right.
Anderson,
He's
DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Higgy.
Yeah.
He was here. He wasn't that great.
He was successful with Baker.
He's all right.
Yeah,
Baker had like a connection.
Hey, by the way, we'll get into that in a second, but just to add to his point, it is like the fact that it's not a matter of who's better. If we're talking about this year, then you're right. This Browns team's ready to go. They are way more turnkey at this point. That guy can just be a caretaker quarterback. But Baker, not only is he Baker, he's going into this new system, learning this whole new playbook. Everywhere he goes, he brings chaos too, like personality-wise. Remember that. Do you think that's going to get easier now that he's in a quarterback competition with Sam Darnold and this rookie that they have too, who people are going to want to see? And he's also got his offensive coordinator who has already stressed that he thinks Josh Rosen is better than him. That's not ideal.
They
That's
should
not
sign Josh Rosen.
Right.
They should add him in.
Honestly, throw him in the mix. Why not? So I think just the chaos factor going in there is one of the things that's going to be working the most against Carolina this year.
I got to make an admission real quick.
What?
The only reason, the main reason I wanted Josh Rosen to succeed coming out of college is because, like me, he's Jewish.
Yeah, I knew it was coming.
And he's there's no Jewish quarterback. I mean, there's barely any Jewish football players, period.
Yep.
But there's no Jewish. The last Jewish quarterback, I believe, was Jay Fiedler for the Dolphins. Remember him? And so I'm like, we got to have one.
Right.
Have one of my guys.
At least admit it. I'll bet one of those ones from the 50s was Jewish and just never told anyone.
The only thing about
Jewish owners.
There was plenty of Jewish
well,
owners.
that's
I don't have that Jewish owner money, though.
That's what counts.
it was only one comment that Josh Rosen made that kind of rubbed, I think, a lot of players in the NFL the wrong way.
What's that?
When he said something like, if I don't succeed in football, I won't be working at McDonald's or something. Like, I don't
that
need
was just
football.
dopey statement.
And
He made a lot of
he
dopey
shouldn't have
statements.
said
Not
that.
ideal.
So, going back to Baker, I'll say this. Everybody seems to be under this premise that the Browns will have a higher ceiling. I look at the way the question is asked and say, when you talk about ceiling and you're looking up here, talk about what Baker Mayfield is going to do to the Carolina Panthers. Yes, he might not know the playbook, but one of the things he's going to be playing fast and free. He's going to be playing pissed off. And one of the things that we cannot deny is Baker has infectious energy. When he comes into your locker room, it's going to be a night and day premise from what they saw in Sam Darnold to Baker Mayfield. There are going to be some guys that rally around him. And at the top of the game, too, you got to look at who's in that division. He's going to play against Jameis Winston twice. He's going to play against Marcus Mariota twice. Obviously, Tom Brady. But if you look at the NFC and you look at what the AFC is, I think the ceiling for the Carolina Panthers is playoffs.
Wow.
The ceiling
just because they're such a terrible division.
Yes.
By the way,
ceiling for the Browns is with Jacoby Brissett a whole year, 8-9 wins maybe. So I take the ceiling for the Carolina Panthers. I would.
By the way, Bet Online had the Panthers' odds of winning the division, winning the NFC, and winning the Super Bowl as worse after the trade, which surprised me.
Here's the odds right here. You can see.
Look at this.
Now,
I tweeted
for the
this
record,
yesterday.
Bet Online was the only one that did it
Yeah,
this
the
way.
other services
the other
went the
ones
other way.
went down to give them a little better odds once they got Baker, but we are part of Locked On Network. This is Locked On's betting sponsor. So we're going to use Bet Online, and they think they have a worse chance now with Baker than
Now,
they
I
did
think
before.
I don't know why they did that. That doesn't make any sense to me. But even the services that changed it in a positive way, it wasn't a significant difference.
It was very marginal, good or bad, or better or worse is a better way to say it.
Clearly,
it didn't change much.
A few months ago, I tweeted, I don't see the point of Panthers trading for Baker because it doesn't move the needle in terms of playoffs. And people went nuts. You don't think he's better than Sam Darnold? Of course I think he's better than Sam Darnold. I just think it's not enough of a difference that the Panthers are significantly better.
Right.
But I do think they are better than they were yesterday.
Doesn't it seem like I mean, I know that they're trying to get better, obviously. Doesn't seem like a weird, desperate Jimmy Haslam type move, though, a little bit. Doesn't this feel like an owner move where they're just like, I'm tired of people yelling at me at the grocery store to make my football team better. Everybody's giving me the business. And they're like, we've got a long-term plan here. We drafted a quarterback. We don't want to mix up the locker room right now. And he's just like, I'm tired of getting yelled at and
With
people
Jimmy,
not being
anything's
nice.
possible.
But I'm talking about the owner of the Panthers now. Like, for them to make this move.
Oh, yeah,
Because I heard that he's
I
also
see.
kind of a reactionary, like, rich dude, too. And I don't know who the owner is.
I don't know who it is either. It was Jerry Richardson.
I
They
should have
forced
looked
him
that
out.
up probably. I've had like 24 hours, but it doesn't matter.
By the way, Mike, does your question have to do with quarterback? Because I kind of want to flow with this quarterback.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do it.
you know what? We'll call it audible. Let's
Yeah.
talk about quarterbacks now because Baker's
guys,
not here, but the Browns quarterback discussion is by no means
the
over.
quarterback discussion's not over. And there's two things here. Obviously, we have had some preliminary conversations about if Watson's suspended for the year, do the Browns go out and get Jimmy Garoppolo? We've talked about that a little bit. I want to talk about it again. But let me throw another name at you who's a free agent right now, who was a former MVP. But he's been awful the last 2 years.
Cam Newton?
Does Cam Newton make any sense for the Browns? If I that's how I felt. But I'm like, and I'm not even sure at this point if he's any better than Jacoby Brissett. Because he's been bad the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Does he have Tyvus? Does he have anything left in the tank? It's not that long ago that this guy was still a high-level player.
Damn, Ty, this is a tough question. You go first.
If Watson is suspended for the
You go
year,
first, dog.
would you? And for let's say they go after Garoppolo for whatever reason they can't get Garoppolo, and I don't know, maybe they'll just stay with Brissett. But let's say they go after Garoppolo, they can't get him. Would you consider Cam Newton?
Would I consider it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Would
consider
you do it ultimately if you couldn't get Garoppolo?
I don't know if I would do it.
Are you worried about him from a locker room perspective?
Not at all.
Okay.
It's not even
then what's
that.
the downside then?
Because to me, when I watched him play these last couple of
he's
seasons,
shot.
I feel like his arm strength is just not the same.
Yes,
Now, granted, like I said, I don't know outside of Anthony Schwartz, and we ain't got nobody that's really taking the top off of a defense.
Right.
So he ain't really got to worry about throwing that deep ball. And he does bring the mobility aspect because, I mean, he's 6'5", 240. That's hard for anybody to tackle. But I don't know how well he protects the football as well. And you even said yesterday with Jacoby Brissett, he at least protects the football.
That's
and
true.
if you can protect the football, you can go a long way in this league.
First of all, let's get the chat gang involved. Hey, let me see the ones if you like Cam Newton. Put the ones in the chat if you like Cam Newton. 2 if you say hell no. 2, you don't want no
very
parts
simple.
of it.
That arm strength.
Number
simple.
1,
Yeah,
if you like Cam Newton. Now, for me, I look at it in terms of what Tyvus said. I've been looking at his arm strength not only last year but the year before that. I look at his year that Baker in 2018 played, and I just didn't recognize the velocity. It's almost like he's shot putting the ball.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that same like kick.
Any chance that could come back?
No. That's like somebody say you lost a step.
I mean, you got to think about it. This is a man who, when he got released, he had those workout videos, going hard, working out with Odell. I'm coming back with vengeance, and he came back with the Patriots. And he the arm strength still wasn't there. So it's like, I think it's
nothing
gone.
you can work out.
By the way, last year, we're going to bring in Leroy in just 10 seconds. Last 3 years, Cam Newton has started 25 games, 2 games in 19 with Carolina, 15 for New England in 2020, and then Carolina again last year he started 5 games, played a total of 8. And in those 22 games, roughly, he has thrown 12 touchdowns and 16 picks.
Yeah,
And shout out Robin
want that to
Lochner,
go
the Browns women's group founder who came in a couple weeks ago and suggested Cam Newton before all this.
Yeah.
So
yeah, she did.
she was the OG Cam Newton, and now we got Leroy. And
bring
anytime
Leroy
a
Hoard.
guest
Looking out,
joins
Robin.
us via the remote hotline, it is now brought to you by Gridiron Guys. Looking for a local roofer you can trust, family owned since 2003. The Gridiron Guys have grown to become Northeast Ohio's top-rated roofers. We exemplify quality work practices and are a valued resource for homeowners and offer a 10-year workmanship warranty. Call 330-573-7967 today for a free estimate of roof inspection. Leroy, He texted us yesterday. We tried to get him on the live show, but he was driving. He's been waiting to get in on this Baker talk.
He's a number 2.
What is
What's
this?
up, Leroy?
He's representing for Cam Newton. That's for Cam.
You like the idea of Cam?
No, he does not.
Oh, he said
You recall, 2 is bad, guys. 2 is bad.
Oh, 2. Okay. Yeah, you're out on Cam. Leroy, what was your reaction when Baker got traded yesterday?
To me, for me personally, it was the worst case scenario. It's just 2 people so fed up with each other, they did whatever they could to get out. Cleveland took a 4th or 5th round pick, and Baker took $3 million less. They just wanted it over.
Yep.
Okay? I don't know what happened for it to get to that point, right? But now it is what it is. And we had Jacoby Brissett down here in Miami.
Uh-oh.
You seem pretty stoked about it.
Talk that's talk.
What about give us this?
else to say.
I'm about to say, what's the scout report?
That's it.
Can we get the scout report?
Come on now. Hey, he waited all this time to give it to us,
That
too.
is the most dramatic pause.
Give me the scout report.
Where's Jacoby Brissett now?
You guys let him slide. You guys let him go for some reason.
He was in Indianapolis and he did really, really well. Pretty well.
Did he?
He's a backup. I mean, the guy's a backup for a reason. We get it.
They wheelchaired Rivers in there to play quarterback.
That's true.
They did
I
do
forgot
that.
about that.
They did do that.
That's true.
That's
And you want to talk about shot putting the ball. Anybody ever seen Phillip Rivers throw football? I've been trying to figure out for 15 years, how does he get the ball down the field throwing it like that?
It's smooth.
And they still preferred him over our quarterback.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, Leroy. So, if Watson is suspended for the season, if you're the Browns, who have already made 5 quarterback transactions this offseason, are you aggressively going after Jimmy Garoppolo? No,
Nope.
you're out on Garoppolo. How come?
You're out. But here's the point that I tried to make sooner. If you're the Browns and you're the Browns organization and you're Baker Mayfield, right? Be professionals. Right? Like this was a moment, unless they really didn't like Baker Mayfield to the point where they would rather have anyone else.
That's what's
Which is
happening.
also not professional.
That's what it was.
I don't care if I don't like you. I'm trying to win.
Agreed.
That's what got lost in this.
Wait, Leroy, are you willing to put your job on the line for Baker Mayfield?
I think that's a good point.
Over Jacoby Brissett? Yep.
No, period. Now, would you put your job? You can have any quarterback that's available now.
No. I'm not saying that.
Well, I think that's what Kevin
Here's
Stefanski's
what I
at.
believe. If I got a choice between Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson, I'm picking Deshaun Watson.
Okay.
However, that's not where we are right now. Where we are right now is we don't know what the situation is going to be with Deshaun Watson. And I'm still I'm scratching my head. Guys, I'm scratching my head every night trying to figure out how can a group of people go to a judge with no damning information and expect the most severe punishment there is?
It's a good question.
I'm trying to figure it out. I was trying to
In
figure
fact,
it out.
yesterday, guys, yesterday it kind of got lost for us in the Baker trade, but there was a report from Dan Graziano of ESPN yesterday that said the league, now we don't know for 100% certain it's true, but Dan Graziano is pretty credible from ESPN. He said that the league went to the Players Association and offered to make the suspension 12 games.
Yep.
And the fact that the league is now, which we heard all along, they were unwilling to go less than a year. The fact that the league reportedly was willing to go to 12 means they're nervous about Sue Robinson. I think they're nervous about what Sue Robinson's ruling is going to be, and they're going to look really bad if they Bigfoot her after she puts a ruling down, if it's not that big a ruling.
Right. See, that's where we are. Because in the NFL's efforts to supposedly protect the shield, they are in effect damaging the shield by going over the top of a person who's well respected to come up with their own punishment.
Yes, no doubt.
You see what I mean?
Yes.
So I get it. You can look, if you're the NFL, you can always go, no matter what she determines the suspension is. You can always go to the media and say, look, we thought we had a case. We have to do everything we can to protect the shield. We presented our case. We have an arbiter that has been determined by both the Players Association and us. We will live by that. You basically wash your hands of it. And if they say, why wasn't the suspension strong enough or it should have been stronger, you can always say, if you're in the NFL, we have a system in place
Right.
so that both parties have agreed to, and we're going to live with that decision.
So, Leroy, are you saying that you think the Browns were foolish for making this Baker move at least before they have at least heard what is going to happen with the Watson situation?
No, it got to the point where it didn't matter, right? Like, I've been talking about this for 3 weeks about, swallow your ego and think of big picture about where this team is and what this team needs to win, okay? And I would say that I do believe that Baker Mayfield is a better option than Jacoby Brissett. Now, the kicker is that you may have some other issues with Baker Mayfield that you don't have with Jacoby Brissett. He's a good dude, right? And so he's going to be a company guy. And he has some talent. However, that talent is limited. And you can say the same thing about Baker, but I have proof that he's had success. And so I just wish I don't look, it got to the point, and we don't know what that mark was, that point was, that where both parties said, all right, let's just be done with it. And we've all been in situations, whether it's, with somebody doing work at your house, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's at the supermarket, where you just say, just give it to me. I got to get out of here. We've all had those situations. And this is the way that feels because it happened so all of a sudden. Now, the Panthers won the trade for this reason. Because they're paying Baker backup money. And I believe Baker is better than Sam Darnold. You see?
Yeah.
So if in week 2 or 3, Baker ends up being the starter, then you got to start a quarterback for $5 million. And you only have to give up a 4th round pick.
Yeah,
when you say it like that, it sounds like a pretty sweet deal for them.
Let me just defend. Mikey wants to ask a question. I'm sorry, I know but I got to throw this in there really quickly, Roy, because the one thing I'll say to defend Jacoby Brissett, and listen, to me, Jacoby Brissett's a backup quarterback. I'm not trying to make him any more than he is. The one thing I'll say to defend him, Jacoby Brissett has thrown an interception on 1.4% of his passes. Baker Mayfield has thrown an interception on 3% of his passes. That is a huge difference. It is,
difference. But think about this. So did let me see, I don't want to mix them up. David Carr. David Carr had a 71% completion percentage.
Right.
But they were all 2-yard passes.
His offensive line is terrible.
The thing about Baker is he did push the ball down the field. He was more of a gunslinger. Now that you have guys who are going to be open, and I think that you have Amari Cooper's the real deal.
Leroy, let me ask you, what receiver do you see outside of Schwartz that can get vertical down the field? I need that answer.
What happens in that situation is this, right? If you don't have somebody to stretch the field, and playing in that secondary.
Oh yeah.
If you ain't got to worry about nobody, over the top as a safety, you squatting looking for that crossing route.
That's kind of what happened last season.
Looking for them checkdowns. Right. And so what ends up happening is if you got an inaccurate quarterback, try having a receiver with no speed and see how tight those throws are.
Mikey McNuggets, what do you got here?
Don't overestimate having a guard 50 yards deep, 50 yards wide. That's the goal. If you only got to guard 30 by 50, it not only constricts and makes it easier for the defense to guard you, but it also makes it tighter throws for a quarterback. And it makes your quarterback have to be that much better to be successful. So I will say this. I believe that as far as talent, this is probably the most talented team that Brissett has played on, as far as how long they've been talented, right? It's been 3-4 years where they've been pretty good. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's that. Man, Ty, you hit the head right there. Hit the nail on the head with. Sometimes you just need somebody out there to run fast. You ain't got to throw it to him like necessary roughness. Don't throw it to Stone hands. He might not be able to catch.
Scott Bakula was a hell of a
but you got to guard him.
The back.
Love Scott Bakula. Mikey McNuggets, what do you got for Leroy?
All right, Leroy. So we've been throwing out some hypothetical questions about the Baker trade, and this one I waited specifically for you. When you think of one-name athletes, you think of Giannis, you think of Michael, you think of Kareem,
Love
Magic,
how you started
Peyton.
it with Giannis.
Is Baker Mayfield the worst player to ever be universally known by one name? You say Baker, you know exactly who we're talking about. He's not Jordan, Giannis, Peyton, Brady. I mean, is Baker the worst guy to ever be known universally by one name?
Odd question.
Look.
It's a good question, and you know it, Leroy.
No. It's a terrible question. Because here's why. You making an assumption that he's worthy of being called by one name.
Right, Baker.
That's reserved for greatness.
Gotcha.
His name is Baker Mayfield. It ain't Baker. Right? Even though we know who you're talking about, he is Baker Mayfield. Like, and the only reason why Giannis is one name is because people struggle with his last name.
No, he the GOAT. That's why.
Stop it.
I got
Right,
go.
but no,
Stop.
I get it.
You quit it.
Just saying.
I got your trump card right here,
But think
Mikey.
of what you're saying.
Mikey, here's your
Think of
trump
what you're
card.
saying. Jordan? And then you gonna throw Baker in it? Stop.
And by the way, it's not even Michael, it's Jordan.
He's so good, he's
Jordan.
got two names, you know exactly who it
Mikey,
is.
here's your
Yeah,
trump
'cause
card.
of
You
Michael
know,
Jackson.
you know who I'm talking about right now. Johnny. He's worse, right? Johnny Manziel's worse, and you know I'm talking about Johnny Manziel when you say Johnny.
But Leroy is, yes, I
Right?
agree.
You know who I'm
Especially
talking
in
about.
Cleveland. However, Leroy
We're
is right.
Cleveland fans. That's
Leroy
why.
is right.
For us
That's
to
a
even
local thing.
consider you, for us to even consider you on a one-name basis, you had to do something great
I don't know.
And it's really
at
just
the highest level.
Yes.
Yes.
You're right.
Yeah.
Hey, let me.
right. Shaq, Bird, Magic,
Tyvus.
Tyvus,
Right.
Tiger.
Kobe.
Tiger,
Kobe.
Kobe.
But you're all naming good ones. The point is to name a bad one. Isn't that the point?
There are no bad
Thank
ones
you,
because
bro.
we ain't using
Okay,
no
so
one
the
He
name.
was going with you. Nobody else is.
Got it. I was trying.
I'm trying to think of a bad one.
Polk.
Right, there you go.
I want to get back. I want to get back to the Baker situation. You talked about it a little bit. You said, "I don't understand how it got this bad." Well,
Yeah.
I have a little information about how it gets that bad. So you go back. There's a couple of events that happen, and we look at it, and people kind of forget about it. I think one of the first things was he talked about Duke Johnson's bag of money.
Yes.
Duke Johnson was up for a contract. He said he need to get here. He's either in or he's out. A lot of veterans after that had to pull him aside and say, hey, we're not going to do that.
By the way,
mess
I
with people
criticized
money.
him for that. The fans killed me. Fans
You
killed
can't-
me for that.
And the second thing that hurt him, the Odell Beckham Jr. thing hurt him very badly. People in the locker room loved Odell. People felt like after that his dad's whole thing, somebody told me, a source told me that they was upset that Baker acted like that was the craziest thing. They said he could have easily squashed it and just said, you know what?
Yeah.
That's whatever. It's my job to get Odell to football. And then the third thing that I think was the most damning of it all was at the end of the day he said I'm going to play injured. I'm playing injured. Last game of the season comes.
That's
he
the
says
one.
That was huge.
he
That's the
says
one.
I'm going to talk to my family and my team. And I know for a fact everybody in the locker room said, Well, when you came out and we just won with Case Keenum against Denver. You just had Dearness Johnson do his thing. You stay on the sideline and you get healthy. He said, if I'm healthy, I'm playing. He went through the season. A lot of people felt he sacrificed.
Didn't care about his family.
The rest of the team for his contract.
That's
and
right.
then in the last game of the season said, I'm going to talk to my family. That was almost saying, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach.
That was it.
And G, I got to throw two more in there to back up your point. Number one, the Lions game. When they barely won against an awful Lions team, okay, but he was angry after the game. He was angry because he didn't play well. The team won.
Yeah,
That's all that should matter.
He didn't talk
He was
to the
angry.
media.
And I'm surprised you didn't bring this one up. To me, this is a big one that gets overlooked. When Myles Garrett beat up the great Kazoo Mason Rudolph, Baker did not have his back.
Fuck that.
Baker was critical of
back.
Myles Garrett.
Hey,
And that was
Let me
big.
explain
I think
something
he
to you.
lost Myles Garrett there, and that was huge.
Leroy, and I'm going to just throw this in and you can comment on it.
Yeah.
When he said, when they put that microphone in his face, he hadn't had no time to talk to Myles Garrett. He could have waited till after it was over. And he said, we can't have that. That's Bush League.
Hey.
He's gonna probably
That was big.
He's gonna probably get suspended. He got suspended the doggone rest of the year, and it was like, you can't do that as a teammate. You can't. And you see what the
That's a
Steelers
fact.
did. That's
You-
a fact.
Listen, you
Let-
gotta
let me-
ride,
let me explain.
right or wrong. You gotta
Rule-
ride with your guys.
Rule number one, okay, that whole situation, he should have known better, because if that quarterback gonna get up in there like he down with it, then he gonna get dealt with. Simple as that. Stay in your lane. When
Hear
the
that,
action
Mason?
start, the quarterback, yes, that's what I'm talking about. The quarterback, get up out of there. Baker know that,
Right.
But here's the other thing. There is nobody that knows Myles Garrett better than a teammate. And you know that guy. And you know what kind of dude he is. Right? If you would have said, hey, probably shouldn't have went that far, but it happens to all of us. That's a whole nother thing. But to tell a guy who you know is respected by everyone that was Bush League, like he ain't never got caught up in nothing. Dude, I saw you try to outrun a fat cop.
And they caught it.
And they caught him. So,
That's true.
So you first of all, in order to be real, you got to understand you could very well be in one of them situations. And so the fact that he came out that quick and called something his teammate did Bush League, right? You're right. He'll lose the team. With the Odell Beckham thing, you got a whole nother situation. Odell Beckham gets a bad rap. I've never heard one player say anything negative about Odell Beckham. That's my litmus test. That's my test to determine what kind of person a guy is. I don't care what the coaches say. I don't care what the organization says. They trying to set up the exit strategy. And I don't blame them for that. But if I hear another player say something negative, then I may give some credence to it. Nobody's ever said anything negative about Odell Beckham. They all love Odell Beckham. So, if you're going to be the guy to say something bad about Odell Beckham, you better have some support. You better have other guys that, yeah, okay, I could see that. I can see how you could feel that way, right? And they still might not like it because y'all brothers. You know what I'm saying? He'd have caught a whole bunch of your bad passes.
Right.
So, yeah. Now, the other thing is, look, after hearing all this stuff, right, I'm surprised it lasted this long, to be honest with you. Because I would say to the Browns' perspective, if they had a better option, Baker wouldn't have played. Right? So while he was out there saying, I'm going to play hurt because he was playing for a contract, I don't have a problem with that. But if the Browns had a better option, he would have been out a long time ago. They didn't. You see what I mean? That's why he was able to play to that point, even when he looked terrible.
Is
There were some games where he shouldn't have been out there.
Anymore.
He shouldn't have been out there.
Yeah.
But that was their best option. So the whole playing versus not playing, and then when the season's over with, him deciding not to play because of all the other stuff that previously happened with the Browns, that situation looks a lot worse. But it's normally, it's very normal that if you have a starter or a star on your team and he's gutting it out and playing hurt, when the season is gone, then you just don't play him.
Yeah.
Leroy?
So that I didn't have a problem with that as much as all the other stuff. Hey, you know what? What makes a great teammate? What makes a great teammate is he's one of you. No matter what his status is in the league, no matter what his status is with the organization, when he goes on that field, he's one of 11. If you treat yourself like one of one and the rest of the team is along for the ride, you better be damn good, or you need to back up a little bit and reassess your situation.
Leroy, great stuff as always, man. Thanks for coming on with us again today. We will talk to you next week.
All right.
Have a great weekend.
Go Bucks. Go Bucks.
Hey, man. Hey. I ain't going to tell you no more about that Go Bucks.
Going out.
We'll see you next week.
You're going to hit me up while I'm out.
He gonna hit you while you turn your back, Leroy.
Thanks,
You're
Leroy.
gonna base on Rudolph.
I turn my back and then he boop.
Moves you right there. All right, we go from the great Leroy Hoard to the great Aditi Kinkhabwala. Where is she? Do we have Aditi?
There she
Hi,
is.
Aditi. How you doing today?
I'm good, except that my screen is frozen on Leroy's face, and I cannot compete with a metaphor or allegory or whatever that compares running after a fat cop.
It's a tough thing to follow. It is.
None of us even know what an allegory is, so that's your
So you're fine.
anyway.
What is the word? It's not allegory. It's metaphor or
Simile.
Analogy.
Come on, help me out.
Analogy.
Analogy. That's what
There
I
you go. I
meant.
came up with that on my own.
I wasn't an
McNuggets
English
to the
major or
rescue again.
anything.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Hey, Aditi, what was
seriously,
your
Mikey
first
McNuggets.
reaction when you saw the Baker trade yesterday?
Well, we keep talking about it. I was pleased that he took the pay cut.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like this was going to happen, and that's what needed to happen. I just didn't know that Baker would have caved as quickly as he did. And what's funny is I messaged a few people I know within the Panthers organization and said, okay, so what was it? Why was he finally convinced to take the pay cut? And nobody really had an answer for me.
Aditi, do you think it's interesting that nobody was sure? I guess in the end he just wanted to be gone. Do you think? Go ahead.
Okay, I actually disagree. And this is what we talked about, I believe, a week ago. I think that he ultimately realized that by holding out for the full amount of money from the Browns, he was cutting off his nose to spite his face.
Yes.
And ultimately, his best bet was to get back out on the field. And as I said yesterday, affirm that he is the guy that we saw 2 years ago, affirm that he is indeed a good teammate, affirm that he can indeed lead a team, and bet on himself. And I said this on the radio this morning to our friend Ken Carmen. We know this about Baker. Even though it got a little old once he'd won the Heisman and was the #1 overall pick, he loves the idea of being undervalued, undersold, having that chip on his shoulder. What better than this?
Yeah.
What better than saying, I was sent out of a town that I seemingly brought back from the brink of playoff misery or playoff absence, 1-31. They sent me off. I had to take a pay cut. I'm on a show me deal. All right, great. That suits Baker in every way possible.
Aditi, Rob Ninkovich yesterday on ESPN said Sam Darnold's going to be the starter. Peter Schrager said yesterday, hey, there's a battle for competition. I don't buy any of that. That could be more fodder for Baker getting fired up. Do you think he's 100% the starter this year? Or does he have to earn it?
He will. Even if I think he is indeed the starter. I don't think that the Panthers would have been as fascinated or intrigued by Baker, because I can also tell you this. Not everybody in that organization was uniformly 100% sold on the idea that Baker Mayfield is the guy that is going to lead the Panthers to the promised land. So obviously there was a little push and pull there. But Baker is clearly seen as a better option than Sam Darnold. And even if there is a competition for show, I'll call it a competition, Baker's going to win. Baker is the better quarterback. Baker is the more accomplished quarterback. Baker will indeed come out as the starter. Whether we pretend that there's a competition or not, it is his job.
I think that this is, Aditi, I think that you said that he thrives off of the fact of having to bet on himself, you know, with him winning the Heisman and him becoming the first overall pick and all that. I would like to tell you that this will be the biggest gamble he's ever taken, because if it doesn't go well, that the money is gone. Like, so this season, for him to go in a situation where he's with the offensive coordinator who rated him the 6th best quarterback coming out, with a guy with the team that has Robbie Anderson, he's public saying he's rather have Sam Darnold. I think that this is, I don't know if I really agree with this situation that he's going into. And, you know, Christian McCaffrey, we don't know his health, so.
Well, I think that there are two things here. One, Baker sometimes thrives in these situations, and Baker sometimes is tight, right? Last year he was in a contract year, and he wasn't necessarily as loose or free, and maybe perhaps tried to do too much once he got hurt. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays that. I think that's totally valid. But I would also argue that any good coach is willing to have his mind changed. And I was just at the Pro Football Hall of Fame last week. Bill Cowher gave his notebook from the year that Ben Roethlisberger was drafted. And it is on display in the Hall of Fame. It's got his rankings of all the quarterbacks, and he does have Eli first and Philip Rivers second and Ben Roethlisberger third. But I'll tell you this, he has a note in there next to J.P. Losman saying, most upside, question mark. So clearly he was wrong there, but he's not ashamed of it. He's not embarrassed. He gave the notebook to the Hall of Fame, and he said, go ahead and put it out there for everybody to see. So I'm sure McAdoo's going to sit here and say, all right, Baker, show me that I was wrong. And Baker will be happy to show him that he was wrong.
Real quick, we've mentioned the McAdoo quote a couple times. Steve, let's take 21 just so everyone knows exactly what we're referring to here. This was a tweet from yesterday. McAdoo rated Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, and Mason Rudolph ahead of Mayfield. He said, quote, I didn't think he was a great athlete. This guy is kind of like a pocket quarterback that is short with small hands. That's what I worry about. McAdoo is the new offensive coordinator in Carolina. So we've referenced that quote. I just felt like it was worth bringing up.
Obviously, Baker is third of that group of 6. But the quote is not unfair. The quote after it, I don't think, is unfair.
No, I agree.
No.
I think there are a lot of people that talk about his height. Remember, even within the Browns organization, Todd Haley was standing on a table screaming for Josh Allen over Baker Mayfield. Mm-hmm. And I think that whenever you are indeed a quarterback that's smaller in stature, you have this expectation that you have to be Drew Brees. You have to be ridiculously smart. You have to see the way the field, the way things unfold before they actually unfold if you want to be successful. And that's not necessarily Baker.
You know, Didi, fast forward a little bit. Well,
okay.
We gotta get personal here.
Oh boy.
I get personal here.
I don't know that I like when you say that, G. This might be like something about my parenting again.
No, you good. We not going that route. We good. We take a look at this. Baker Mayfield is now, Jay talked about this is the best and worst thing that has ever happened to the Cleveland Browns because they get the chance to play Baker, and he's excited to see the game. That's awesome. For me, I'm just going to say it now. There is no way the Cleveland Browns can afford to lose this game. Under no circumstances can Kevin Stefanski come out here and lose the game to Baker Mayfield, because for me, that would be an indictment on Kevin Stefanski, because I believe that the main proponent or the main person that stood against Baker Mayfield moving forward was Kevin Stefanski, because he said, listen, I can't run what I want to run here. He has limitations. And so that means he chose to move on from Baker, and he told you that he could do it with Jacoby Brissett or Dobbs or even with Deshaun Watson. But he can't come out here and have Baker throw for 350 and 3 touchdowns. It's a must-win in this game 1. Am I crazy?
He ain't throwing for 350.
All right, so number 1, this was not Kevin Stefanski driving this ship to move on from Baker Mayfield. Kevin Stefanski has said on the record, and he has said to me, and I believe him, that he 100% felt that he could move on and win with Baker this year and that he was comfortable. He's on the record. Remember, at the Combine, he was asked, do you think you can win with Baker Mayfield, or is Baker Mayfield just starting? Are you comfortable if Baker Mayfield's your starting quarterback? He didn't hesitate for even a millisecond.
I'm sorry to interrupt, though, Aditi. Really, what is he supposed to say in that situation? He can't say, no, I'm not confident enough, and this guy's terrible. And so I'd like to trade him if anyone's interested.
Agreed. That is a very fair point, Mike. But I believe him when he was. I mean, we've had conversations about it that are not in front of cameras. I believe him. He is not the guy that drove this ship that said, I can't win with Baker, get me Deshaun Watson. Right. That's not the way this went down. Number 2, isn't it more on Myles Garrett? Isn't it more on Denzel Ward? Isn't it more on John Johnson? Isn't it more on those linebackers? Why are you putting it on Kevin Stefanski? I'd almost argue it's more on Joe Woods and his defense to shut down Baker Mayfield.
Yes,
I agree with that statement.
Joe Woods is not off the hook here, but Kevin Stefanski gonna have to get some points. I don't care how it gets done.
The Browns should win the game anyway. They're the better team.
Right, they got to win.
Browns are favored in this game. By the way, the point spread only changed 2 points. The Browns were favored by 3. Now they're favored by 1. If Deshaun Watson plays in this game by some unusual chance, the Browns will be a touchdown favorite at least in this game, if not more.
If D-Watt played,
we're so far away right now. Guys, we're still a month from training.
Yeah, I hear you.
We don't even know who
Aditi, Steve has a question for you. Steve, from wherever he is, he wants to know, does Baker and Stefanski shake hands after the game?
Oh, that's a good one, Steve.
Because Baker is known
I don't think this is like the Hugh Jackson thing. I think they do. I do think they do. And I think it was classy of the Browns.
If Baker wins, they do. If Baker loses, they don't, probably.
Well, I mean, you all remember the way that he faced Hugh Jackson when Hugh Jackson was Marvin Lewis's assistant on the Cincinnati sideline. I don't think we see that. I don't think we see that. And I think it was classy of the way the Browns sent that tweet out yesterday with all those tremendous photographs of Baker and thanking him for what he did indeed do while he was there. I do think that was classy.
Aditi, let's move on to what the Browns do now. Let's say Deshaun Watson let's say the Browns have already made 5 quarterback transactions this offseason, right? It's amazing. But if Deshaun Watson gets suspended for a year, I still don't think he will, but if he is, I think they'll make a 6th. At the very least, you'll have to bring in a 3rd quarterback to go with these 2 guys they have.
RG3.
Yeah, well,
I'm
true.
Straight.
I'm not interested in RG3. We've talked
I think Jimmy Garoppolo is more likely than Robert Griffin.
Yes.
Frankly.
So let's talk about
Cam
cartilage. I think only if it's the whole year. I think Garoppolo makes a lot of sense for the Browns, and I think if I'm Garoppolo, I'd be thrilled to play on the Browns, and if I'm the Browns, I'd be thrilled to have Garoppolo. He's clearly an upgrade over Brissett. I think he'd give them a better chance to win than even Baker, but let's take the Baker part out of it. Garoppolo to the Browns, do you think that happens if Watson's suspended for the year?
So I think there are too many ifs right there. Is Garoppolo healthy? Is Watson actually suspended for the year? How much of the money do the 49ers pick up of Garoppolo's contract? Yeah. I think that there is, or can the money be worked out if there's another way to answer that? I think that there are too many what ifs, and the first one we have to start with, does Garoppolo even pass a physical? Because remember, how far removed are we from that surgery right there? Yeah. And it also doesn't necessarily look likely right now. As much as we know that the NFL and their lawyers would like Watson to be suspended for a year, it just feels as if there are drips and drabs of information that are leaking that are suggesting getting that year's suspension is going to be really difficult.
Aditi, we've been going down a memory lane with Baker and his time here, obviously, and I don't know about you guys, but I've been obviously reading articles about stuff you forgot about. Some of the bad stuff, some of the stuff that he did that ticked off the locker room, ticked off Stefanski, ticked off the fans, and stuff. And we really keep going back to this relationship metaphor. where it's an ex who you are too close to at the time, and then all of a sudden you're friends once you're broken up, and you're like, remember the time you forgot your birthday? And you're like, oh yeah, he did forget my birthday. Like all that, that's where I feel like that's what we're all processing right now. How much is the locker room going to be improved, if at all? What do you think the vibe is going to be like in the locker room now that that's removed from the table, and how much does Watson's situation complicate that?
So I think the Watson situation obviously does complicate that, right? Because you ultimately want your quarterback to be your leader and your tone setter. And from what we're hearing in the spring, Watson has indeed done that. Gathering guys off campus too to throw and all that. If you're not the quarterback, if you're not in the building, then that becomes difficult. How does Brissett manage that if he kind of feels that he's a placeholder? And I just quibble. I have a hard time saying that Baker was this universally loved figure that everybody was willing to run through a wall for. I don't know that I saw that, but I also don't know Baker to be a cancer. I don't know Baker to have been a horrible guy. I think that Baker had foibles or has foibles that some teammates just kind of roll their eyes at or was sort of like, okay, but it was sort of like, you know who he is. You know he may over dramatize some things. You know that he may be in his feelings at some times. You do sometimes wish that perhaps he was able to put certain things in silos, like after a game when he gets booed and he's frustrated, just meet with the media and just say vanilla things instead of needing to cool down.
Right.
Whatever, sure. But I don't think any of those things were these. He wasn't publicly going on the radio and ripping someone for running the wrong route. He wasn't blaming the offensive coordinator for calling a bad play. He wasn't, is he the most loved guy that I've ever been around in a locker room? No. Is he the most hated guy I've ever been around in a locker room? No, not by any means. So I don't know that it makes so much of a difference. And again, guys, winning cures all. Every winning locker room is happier than every losing locker room. Like, that's just it.
Yeah.
From your lips to God's ears, Aditi, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Aditi. We'll see you next week. Have
Thanks,
a good
guys.
weekend.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Aditi Kinkhabwala, good to chat with her as always. We've got Dequel Jackson coming up at 12:30.
I'm so biased on the Jimmy G thing. Like, it's to the point where I don't think my opinion would even be valid.
Well, you love him?
You recused?
He was my quarterback for 2 seasons.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not fair.
It's not, of course, what I say, but I got to see the guy.
I think that gives you a good perspective.
Let's talk about it. I mean, he's not a great talent, right? His talent is not exceptional, but there's something about him. Is it that he's so good looking? Let's be honest.
All right, so this is the thing.
And he's so good looking, it's disturbing.
So this is the thing.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out if it's one of those situations where, the quarterback play wasn't that good and he came in and just was better than everybody and that's what made him look good, or was he actually really good? Because when I got to San Fran, I got there in 2017. I think they were like 0-8. Actually, his first day there was my first day there. They traded for him. They had just traded for him, and I had just got signed. So we came in technically together.
So your move got shadowed.
Right.
Overshadowed.
Yeah, big transaction that they just missed out on. But anyways, we lost. We ended up winning the game. I think we won our first game. I think they were 0-8 at the time. They won their first game against the Giants. CJ gets hurt against, I want to say Seattle. I think they was playing Seattle. CJ gets hurt. Jimmy comes in, boom, throws a touchdown. Last play of the game, throws a touchdown. First play in the game, throws a touchdown. Boom. So everybody, okay. So moving forward, the man finished the season. I said we was 1-9. I think we finished the season 6-10.
Right.
So we lost to Seattle, which made us 1-10.
Yeah.
Jimmy comes in the last 5 games, wins all the games.
Yep.
So the next season, it's a lot of hype behind him because we seen him come in and the offense was just clicking. Like he came in, that ball came out, hot, accurate, everything was good. Tremendous leader, get those good speeches, have you fired up, and just overall a good guy.
That counts for something, right?
And
Players
then,
believe in him.
And then it was times where, when he became the starter, it's like people ask, well, how's his work ethic? Well, in practice, it was a practice where he tried to throw it to Marquise Goodwin, and I think he underthrew him or something like that. They spent like an hour after practice running deep balls, and he just kept throwing them. And they paid off in the game where he started hitting them in stride. So it's like, for some odd reason, and then like I said, I've been in the locker room with him. Nobody has ever said anything bad about Jimmy because he's a guy that gets you to play for him. Like that. So I don't.
And with the backfield that the Browns have behind him,
I think everybody would love Jimmy. I really do.
And to your point, you said something, and I used to always get mad at people who in the media that say this. Like, come on, y'all got to do better, man. Stop rolling out of bed saying this stuff. Odell and they just can't. I don't know what it is. They just can't get on the same page. No, you just talked about what pros do.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Odell, I don't care if I got to live with you. We're going to be out here 2-3 hours after practice.
Yeah.
If I got to get Kevin Stefanski, I show up and say, Coach, look, what we going to do this week? I need him to get the ball 8 times.
That's the quarterback's job.
That's what the quarterback does.
He had progressive commercials to shoot, guys. He couldn't just stick around throwing the ball to nobody for no reason.
He had groceries to bring in.
Exactly.
he had a photo op at a kids event.
Right.
Mikey McNuggets, what's going on?
We actually got some breaking news, non-Baker related, but this is from our
Not
send.
Jay related too?
Not Jay related. This is real Deshaun Watson breaking news from from Josina Anderson, a friend of the show. She tweeted out a few minutes ago, and I quote, "I'm told there's a recording of an interview with the adult son of one of the 12 women the NFL interviewed in the Deshaun Watson case, stating his mom was initially complimentary of Watson in their conversations after the massage, but later switched her account and tone after negative allegations surfaced about Watson. The son intimidated his mother, intended to reward his silence, per a league source."
Intimated. You said intimidated his mother.
Intimidated.
He intimidated his own mother?
I'm just reading the tweet.
I think it was misspelled, but go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a feeling that the NFL was initially cagey about details they learned from the woman's son after only mentioning they interviewed him in the report. The son's recording was later reviewed by Watson's side, revealing the aforementioned details, presumably illuminating why this particular accuser was not included with the 5 women the NFL ultimately focused on at the hearing. So
there you go.
Just more details trickling out, and
Fifth-hand
Josina
hearsay
continues to be
evidence
part
from
of it.
Yeah.
So
from
Again,
an unnamed
it's
source.
It's one case,
Yeah.
but that's why again we talk about this gray area in this subject. I brought it up a bunch of times, and we don't need to legislate the whole thing again. Again, the only people that knows what happened, the women and Deshaun. Nobody else knows the real truth.
But I will tell you this.
Yeah.
Testimony count.
It does.
You
It's
can't
big.
we heard 66, and people act like those 66 were rape
To
allegations.
your point, G, I hate to keep bringing this up, but Rob Parker last night, when I'm on with him on their show, he goes, 66 women, that's a big deal. I'm like, what are you talking about?
That's what they hear.
Yes, and that's the number that's sticking to everybody.
If you say something long enough in this life,
right.
That's the Tony Busby model.
It just becomes true. And like people don't even, why would you, and then there's the text message out here where a person, one of the women, reached out to Deshaun Watson after the alleged stuff happened and said, "I'm sorry, I was very unprofessional. That's not like me." They have text messages, and so what I get upset is, if you're gonna post this stuff, if you're gonna be a media member, do the homework. At least give a little bit of light, because that's pertinent to the conversation.
It certainly all is. It's all got to be taken into account. It's just another thing to the ledger of why I still think Deshaun no way is going to get suspended for the whole year, and could be less and less. At this point, 6 games or less is a huge win for the Browns.
Yeah. Staying on Garoppolo for a second.
Yeah.
Say he gets 8 games.
Yeah.
Is signing
still
Garoppolo
would be a
off
bad
the table?
idea.
Yeah. What's the big? Why wouldn't you still want to do that?
I don't think they'll do it if it's that short, but it still would be a good idea.
I would.
Mikey McNuggets.
We got one more
Dequel
question,
coming up
then
in a
we're going to
minute,
get
but what do you got?
Dequel on because he's here a little early. But first, Steve, let's take the question. The Browns saved $8 million in cap space by trading Baker. So who would you want to see the Browns target with this extra cap space?
This is a lot of time we need for this subject.
This is it.
Well, you gave us 9 names. Let's rattle them off. We'll bring Dequel in when he's ready.
I'm going to bring in my messy list.
Number
here.
1 should be Tyvis Powell. Listen, I'm available.
Sign him
I
up.
am available. I am only
Sign
a
him
phone
up.
call
Always
away.
training.
I don't need a lot of training. Like
Look at this list.
I'm in shape
Wow.
and ready to go.
Wow.
I didn't type it up. This is like a script I was doing
That is thorough.
for a voiceover for a book job that I'm trying to get.
Nice.
There we go.
I
want to do
y'all
voiceover
two
for
trying
books.
to.
Yeah,
he want an NFL job and you want to be an author.
Well,
Go
not
ahead.
an author. I just want to do the voiceover.
What would you?
Let's
I'll
hear
read
your
part
list,
to
then
you.
we'll have Dequel weigh in
It was
on
a
who
nice
is the
warm day
right
in
answer
April.
here.
Pop's old car was running good.
Oh yeah.
Nah, that was not a good read. But
No,
all right.
it's good.
Guys, here we go. I got 3 wide receivers and 3 defensive tackles that the Browns should consider.
There we go.
No safeties.
No.
No, sorry.
That's unfortunate.
Oversight.
It's cool.
3 wide receivers. The guy I've been screaming about for 3 months, Will Fuller. Will Fuller makes all kinds of sense. He got a little more money now. Here's the thing with Will Fuller. Yes, he's injured all the time. He never plays all season. But when Will Fuller's on the field, he puts up big numbers. And who does he put up those big numbers from? Deshaun Watson. Makes no sense. Two other guys who are much older, veterans. I don't know if either of these guys got much left in the tank, but at a little amount of money, they're proven veterans who have won. T.Y. Hilton, Julio Jones. What do you guys think about those guys?
I'll take a flyer on Julio.
Yeah.
I'll take a flyer on T.Y. in the slot.
I want Julio in the locker room, too, from what I understand. From what I think
great guy, by all accounts. Defensive tackles, Ndamukong Suh.
Top of the board. Top of the board.
No doubt. He, I'm going to screw up this guy's last name. Star Latulehi. I don't know if I screwed it up. You know that guy? He was with the Bills last year. He got drafted by Carolina, right? Or
Carolina, first round.
And then I'll throw this guy out there. I know it ended bad for him with the Browns, but he was still pretty good. Sheldon Richardson.
Yeah.
I'll take Sheldon.
You need that. You need that attitude, especially if you're going to play that D tackle.
I'll give you 2 wild cards at positions the Browns don't have as big a need, but 2 wild cards. Dante Hightower was a great player.
I like that.
And then he sat out the COVID year, and he came back for New England last year, and he wasn't as good. Maybe he's got.
Is he available?
Yes.
I'll take
and I'll
him.
give you one other guy. Your boy, Richard Sherman.
Richard is done.
He's done.
Yeah. Richard's done. Richard
he
is being a father to his kids and taking them to
he's done.
track and football.
What a waste of time.
So he's good.
Let's go. Mikey McNuggets, what do you got?
All right, well, I just got to remind you guys that every time we bring a guest on, it's brought to you on the Gridiron Guys hotline for the best roofing in Northeast Ohio. Call 330-573-7967 today for a free estimate or roof inspection. And we heard your guys' responses.
Yeah.
What's Dequel thinking? Steve, let's take it, and let's see if Dequel can nail it. Dequel?
There it is. The slow turnaround.
What's up, fellas?
That was awesome.
I had to do it. Cheers.
Tip of the cap. Yes, sir.
I love that big jar of corks you got there. That is sweet.
Yeah, I drink a lot of wine.
Had to wait patiently.
That's a lot of bottles.
How long have you been turned around?
How long have you been looking at that thing of corks?
That's the first time. First time I've turned around.
I can confirm. We could see him beforehand. He was not practicing. That was first try.
Nailed it. But we got to get a sound effect that goes bum, bum, bum when that thing turns around.
Or I'll get you next time, Gadget.
That was so good. Hey, Dequel, your reaction first when Baker got traded yesterday. I know you've been kind of with Brad and Jay about, hey, if he's still here, let him play. What did you think when they traded him yesterday?
Yeah, so it confirmed, what a lot of people were thinking, from the outside looking in, that the Browns decided they did not want Baker Mayfield to take another snap as a quarterback of this franchise. And on one hand, what I thought about was they really are investing this year in the Jacoby Brissett, or do they really know what the suspension would look like from Deshaun Watson? So there's a lot that went through my head in terms of quarterback play, right? And I went back and watched some of Baker Mayfield's games and some highlight plays, right? And the one thing I landed on was the fact that a lot of his chunk plays and a lot of his successful plays down the field were predicated on play action passing and moving him outside of the pocket. Yeah. And so by this move being made and watching Jacoby Brissett, with his time with Indianapolis and just knowing what type of quarterback he is, he's more of a pocket passer. And maybe in my mind, in my crazy mind of mine, I'm thinking maybe Kevin Stefanski wants to grow this offense to be more of a down the field attack style offense with a sprinkle of the run. Obviously, you can't abandon it, but because of Jacoby Brissett's skill set and the fact that you invested so much into Deshaun Watson, we don't know when he's going to play. But one thing we know about Deshaun Watson is he has a multitude of talent, right? He can create plays within the pocket, outside of the pocket. He's great at doing both of these things. So maybe this is a glimpse of Kevin Stefanski seeing a different side of an offense that we hadn't necessarily seen when he had the Odell Beckham Jr.'s and the Jarvis Landry. So all of that went through my head when the Baker Mayfield trade happened. It was just about time. I was going to curse, but I'm not going to try to hold it back. It was about time something happened, but on another note, it was surprising that the move was made prior to knowing what the suspension was going to look like from Deshaun Watson's standpoint.
You know what, Dequel? Thank you for setting me up, my brother. You set me up so good on this one. Let me get my crystal ball out. Okay. Now you've been in the locker room and you have a good working relationship with people in the locker room, right? Now,
True.
have you ever had a situation, I'm sure this has happened, where you talk to a player and you say, hey, man, I'm thinking about hanging it up. I ain't really got it no more. Or you talk to a guy, hey, man, after this season, I'm looking at Atlanta. I'm looking like, my peoples is down there. I might do that. So you get a little inside information. So you hear it, but you don't tip your hat to nobody. You just keep that under your hat, and that's just locker room code. He just letting you know. Now, if I could believe that happens with players, right? Why would it be a giant leap to think that don't happen with owners in the league? If I'm going to spend $230 million and give him an upgraded contract, do you not think that Jimmy and D Haslam don't say, hey, let me talk to you real quick. Now, we want to do this move. Can you give me a little something, a little hint? You ain't got to tell me what it is on what the suspension going to be. And I said it from Jump Street. There's no way that you go buy a brand new Bentley, Rolls Royce like you like, without test driving it.
You got the miniature one.
You got the miniature one. But you got to know how it sounds. You want to know the specs. I need to know everything because that's an investment, right? So for me, this move signified not only did the Browns like Jacoby Brissett, I think it already signifies the fact that they know a little more than they was letting on about this whole Deshaun Watson. And to them, a season or indefinite was never on the table. But they can't say that to us. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're spot on, especially being a player and understanding. Look, you look at the history of this league and the collusion that's happened with stemming back to the Colin Kaepernick issue. You better well believe if a move is going to be made like that and that type of investment, there's the right ears, the right conversation has happened. Now, in my opinion, I think Deshaun Watson will probably get a year. That's me in my own world, but you better believe the ownership and the right people understand or have had conversations about potential suspensions and what's the possibility. Because as you mentioned, you used the analogy with the cards and all that. Owners don't, it's the reason why owners are owners. They don't make decisions based on impulse all the time. It's intel, the right intel, and the right conversations that needs to be had. And I do think a lot of that played into them acquiring Deshaun Watson and making the move and making this big splash about, Baker Mayfield and the inconsistency between the two parties and him not being there anymore. I'm a big believer in that definitely happens behind the scenes.
All right, Dequel, I agree with both of you to an extent, but then at the same time, I'm also reminded that this is the same guy who allegedly might have drafted Johnny Manziel, at least in part based on a tip from a homeless man. So I think we have earned the right to judge them a little bit and be a bit speculative when they're making decisions for our team. Okay, but my larger question is about Baker. As somebody who knows his fan base, as somebody who was here for a very long time, and one of the few people who had success, what do you think his legacy is going to be in 10 years in this town? You know this fan base. How are we going to look at him in 10 years overall?
Yeah, I think he'll always have a home here because he rose this Cleveland Browns out of football purgatory, and they got them to the playoffs. So, again, we can nitpick about his personality traits, but I do think the Cleveland Browns fan base are a smart fan base who do identify with the guy. Hey, listen, that year was probably a great year. Some little, the diehard Cleveland Browns fans had their kids go to the games that year, and they would have something to talk about. So I do think in terms of his legacy here in Cleveland, you're going to have two communities. Some communities that will not identify with him and the way he kind of dealt with things as a leader of this team and the way he went out and just, they wouldn't accept him. But there's another community of people that would accept him, and he could always come back. And I think he'll always have a special place in the Cleveland Browns community.
Dequel's definitely right. But I also think a big factor in 10 years from now is going to be how much success Deshaun Watson had subsequently, right? Like, let's say the Browns win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They'll kind of forget
Baker gets diminished.
Yeah.
If Watson has a great career and the Browns win a ton of games and somehow win a Super Bowl, his time here gets diminished.
I think I disagree. I think I kind of disagree.
No,
because I think that this fan base, if we win a Super Bowl with Watson, I think they're the kind of fan base that says that is more, it's easier to be magnanimous in victory. And if we are going on some winning streak and this guy takes us there, I think that he comes back in here and people are just like, Baker, thanks for helping set us up. You were part of the reason that we turned the corner. You were there for the 0-16 season. Then you went in the next season and led all rookies of all time in touchdowns, and really got us a vibe and a swagger that helped us carry this on. I think if it goes poorly and Baker does well or something like that, I think there's a better chance of us not responding well to him when he comes back then, because we're petty and bitter and we hang on to things like
he's
that.
petty and bitter too.
Yeah, so we all are. We're petty too.
Yeah, I'm definitely petty.
And I'm representing a Baker bro today, just so you know, Dequel. That's why I'm dressed like this.
Yeah, no, I see you're repping hard.
Okay, thank you.
Mikey McNuggets, you've got some questions for the panel and Dequel Jackson.
I do. Dequel, let's start with this one. Steve, it's number 19. I don't know if you could find it in the rundown. These questions, I labeled them a little funky. It's 56. But this is a good one. Dequel, I saved this one for you. Let's take it, Steve. How do you think OBJ and his dad celebrated last night?
Oh, Lord.
Listen, OBJ has a Super Bowl ring. He's not thinking about Cleveland and Baker Mayfield and what's going on. He's trying to rehab his knee. But, he's probably, I hate to say this, but sometimes your competitive, juices kind of flow. But he'll never say it publicly. But he's probably glad that he's out of that situation. And Baker Mayfield has another home, and he's not thinking about Baker Mayfield.
I got a question for you.
Maybe Odell comes back.
I'm about to say.
I actually think that Odell Beckham Jr. called Baker Mayfield and told him, "Congrats, do your thing." I think that's
I'll tell you what. An interesting thing would be, say D.Y. got suspended for 8 games.
Yeah.
You think, would it be crazy if they said Odell when D.Y. come back? Because I think he ain't going to be ready until late October.
No, I don't think it's crazy. You can bring him back.
You want to come back? You ain't got to worry about learning the new playbook because you know it already.
Well, you think that makes sense?
Yeah, it does, because as a receiver, you want to go where the arm is.
Yeah.
And Deshaun Watson is going to be playing whenever we realize what his suspension is. Whenever he comes back, he's going to be playing for his legacy, his reputation, all things considered. And so, yeah, if I'm a receiver, I'm definitely following this situation closely. And for Odell Beckham, you understand the scheme, you know the players, you understand the coaches. I wouldn't rule it out, honestly.
Myles Garrett is the leader in the locker room now. If Myles Garrett really wants him to be back on the team, he already done put it on Instagram.
That's true.
It's not like Odell wasn't open in the
Miles and Watt. I mean, the quarterback's eventually got to be the leader of the team.
Yes,
there's no doubt.
All Browns fans need to go onto their social media and scrub all negative Odell stuff you put up when he left right now, in case his dad is scrolling through.
Bring him back.
The problem with it is, I think he sold his house in Cleveland already.
I mean, he's rich.
He can have mine. He can have my house.
Stay with Mike.
There you go. I got a guest room.
McNuggets, next question.
You're
All
right.
right, Steve, let's take it. We talked about this a little earlier. Dequel, want to ask you, Carolina, Cleveland playing week 1. What's your prediction for Baker's stat line against the Browns and a final score?
Well, you're predicting that he's going to be the starter. So I'm not necessarily sold he's going to be the starter. Because listen, I mean, you have to learn a new playbook. This will be his 5th offensive coordinator. It's not a shoo-in that, again, on paper, he's the better talent, but I'm not so sure, he is a shoo-in to be the starter. Even though I think he's a better talent, he's also coming off shoulder injury as well, right? So he hasn't really thrown the football in the last few months, or probably the last few months he has. So he's got an uphill battle that he's got to work through with new teammates. And you have Robbie Anderson that made the tweet about, no, he didn't want him, and he backtracked and said he was defending his quarterback, which I don't know why you would defend because he didn't play well. So
no one defends Sam Darnold.
Yeah, Sam Darnold. Yeah, it's a lot of things he has to work through. So to answer your question, to humor you, his stat line, I think it will be average at best and nothing more than we've seen before.
Myles Garrett will have more sacks than Baker Mayfield will have completions.
That's
absurd.
Completions?
That's absurd.
Or touchdowns?
It's absurd.
If I had to give if I gave a realistic stat line for Baker in that game, I'd say he'd probably go 10 for 22, 110 yards.
Reading my mind.
1 touchdown, 2 picks.
That sucks.
Nah.
Yeah.
That's trash. I agree.
That's about what it is. That's about how it is.
If Garrett
yeah,
does
the
sack
DBs
him, he's got to put up that tombstone in his yard, and it's got to be tiny. It's got to be a little tiny tombstone. You know what I'm talking about?
But
Just
yes,
extra
right.
shame.
He put all the
Extra
tombstones.
shame.
Yeah. Don't we have to? By the way, before your next question, Mikey, don't we have to have a progressive commercial with Baker moving out of the stadium and moving into whatever the name of the stadium is in Carolina?
Someone's TikToking it right now, I assure you.
Right? Don't we have to have that? All right, McNuggets, what do you got?
Well, I'm glad Dequel mentioned Robbie Anderson. Steve, let's take the SOT, then I'll ask the question. This was Robbie Anderson defending himself. He tweeted this yesterday. Let's take a listen.
I wonder if you could explain why you had reacted negatively to the prospects of these guys acquiring Baker.
I said what I said, That's just my thinking out loud, my thought,
What influenced that particular tweet?
Just trying to be a good teammate to my quarterback, That's it. Just trying to defend the guy who is my quarterback in a sense, you know what I'm saying? That's it.
So
Robbie
Dequel,
Anderson,
the question is,
yeah.
can Baker and Robbie Anderson ever squash their beef?
I guess.
Yeah,
Robbie Anderson.
You ain't got no
come in and play
choice.
well.
You gotta
Right.
pick.
Dequel, can they squash it? What do you think?
Yeah, they can squash it as long as Baker Mayfield plays well, but everyone knows, listen, you go from this is a minor significant upgrade if you look at Sam Darnold, and listen, he clearly got caught in the lie because you're not going to defend a guy who played terribly.
Of course.
I know you like him, but you're a receiver. You want guys that have big arm that can get you the football because you make more money that way with more team success and all that other stuff you want to pile on. But listen, yeah, they can mend the beef, but Baker Mayfield has to win the job and has to win the trust of his teammates, and he has to throw the ball and get him the ball. And
Let's trade Robbie Anderson here. He'd be a decent number 2 guy. Sure.
I always look at it like this, man. When you're a quarterback, man, you're supposed to be elevated.
He's got to smooth that
We
over.
coming from a sunken place where we asking, can the receiver and the quarterback make it? No, the quarterback come in, he get you together. Hey, man, let's go out to lunch real quick.
Yeah.
Let me talk to you real quick. Y'all hash it out, and before you know it, I'm the number 1 receiver trying to get the football. These people be playing checkers, it's chess, bro.
Listen.
Higher elevation, man.
You don't think people around the league watch their Odell and Baker stuff? Like, every receiver is probably like, listen, I don't trust dude. You couldn't get Odell the ball. You're not going to get
Exactly.
the league.
Right.
Exactly.
That is a good point.
Exactly. That's a great point. You couldn't go get Odell the ball, and here I am. You have to elevate. To G's point, you got to be able to come in as a quarterback and elevate the guys around you. I don't think that's necessarily Baker Mayfield's skill set.
He had a bad shoulder, dude. He played the half the season injured. He had a bad shoulder.
They was
Super Bowl.
Wait a minute. He was tough as nails.
Wait a minute.
Man.
Hold on. They wasn't connecting before the shoulder injury, so that's not gonna hold.
Go on, haters.
Since 1999, man. Since 1999.
By the way, I think I think Robbie Anderson's hairstyle, like, I need to have that hairstyle. How good would that look? Me with Robbie Anderson's hair?
Not at all.
No?
Go for it, man.
Absolutely not.
Be you. Why not? Try something.
You know what, boy?
I want to be
Do a
creative.
summer cut.
Everybody needs a no man in they friend.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be that guy.
You said I can't-
Absolutely not.
You don't think I can pull that off?
No.
I'm the friend that encourages bad
I want to try
decisions.
something different. I've had the same short hair for a long time. I dyed my hair blonde when I was in college.
Oh, yeah.
I got to shake it up in my 50s
That's
now.
as far as you should go.
Hey, hold on. First of all, let's be the cultural savvy people we are. It's not possible for you.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's keep that above.
Enough product.
Who you think you is? Kodak?
Wait a second, hold on. There was when I used to go to Marine Park in Brooklyn to play basketball. All right, I played on the scrub court, but there were guys. But there were guys that were really good. Chris Mullen came down there a couple times to play basketball. I could play, and there was this one dude. He was a white guy who had dreadlocks. I don't know how he made them, but he had dreadlocks.
He made them.
And they were down to his ankles.
He didn't say, you see, he didn't culture. He didn't say grow. He said, I don't know how he made them things. But
He was a white dude with dreadlocks.
Sure.
And ever since then, I was like, someday, maybe I could do something like different with my hair, but I haven't had the guts to do it. And now I may try to do it.
Now they wear these hair pieces for men. Maybe for Halloween you come up with Robert Anderson.
Then it looks like I'm making fun. I just want to
we wouldn't want you to look
I don't want
silly.
to make fun.
Right.
I don't know.
Not appropriate.
If our executive
I've sidetracked us here.
If our executive producer don't let us wear baseball hats on camera, they not letting
I'm
you
just saying.
do
He got a point with that one.
All right, that's it. I've sidetracked us. Mikey,
That's
next
true.
question.
Okay, this is a two-part question, or really it's a bet. Which one would you rather take? Baker is 10-1 to win Comeback Player of the Year, and he's 100-1 to lead the NFL in passing yards. Which one's more realistic here?
Dequel?
Comeback Player of the Year.
I was
He will
gonna
not
say
lead
that
the NFL
too.
in passing
Yeah.
yards. Yeah.
Oh,
Which is
Comeback
more
Player of the
realistic?
Year, but that's more realistic.
Let me ask you a
second
different
one's
way.
impossible.
Which one would you rather put money on? Is there
Oh,
any
the
chance
first
he
one.
leads the NFL in
No.
passing yards?
No.
It's 100-1 odds, though.
No.
Him leading the league in
No.
passing yards is literally flushing your money in the
So
toilet.
do you? So Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes,
Lord.
Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Like, what are
Listen,
you
I'm
talking
not saying
about?
I'd
No
bet
way.
on it. I'm just giving
No,
you the
yeah,
two best
the
options.
quarterback,
No
Joe
money off
Burrow,
Baker Mayfield.
If I'm going to bet, I'm going with Comeback Player of the Year because, one, there could be some type of emotional support behind that.
Yeah.
Baker had a bad deal. He had a raw deal in
You love a
Cleveland.
good narrative.
He come back off of a shoulder injury, and he actually played really well. Carolina won more games than they were projected to. Like that, he'll win it because of that. Like that's it's
Even
politics.
if he plays okay, they
Yeah.
might still give it to him
Right.
because
But he
they like
ain't
that
no
narrative.
way, as my name is Tyvis Chancey Powell, he's leading the NFL in passing yards.
Watch this, Dequel. This is kind of off the beaten trail a little bit, but you know they just confirmed the narrative. Baker, he was hurt. He could be Comeback Player of the Year, and I'm here to say it. I don't care how well Deshaun Watson plays, he will never be an MVP. They will make sure that does not happen.
That's politics.
I'm gonna let you know right now. There will be no writer. I mean, these are the people.
There'll be some, but not enough for him to win.
These are the same people that didn't vote for Terrell Owens as a first ballot Hall of Famer because he did what? Because he did crunches in his driveway. Are you serious?
Those were good crunches.
Aaron Rodgers did win
very
MVP
true.
this year after the whole vaccine immunized
That's
thing,
Aaron
though.
Rodgers.
That
Yeah,
ain't
that's
got
Aaron
There's
Rodgers.
levels
Yeah.
to this.
Yeah,
I don't want to get to the levels though.
Yeah.
No.
I'll get to the level. White guy's got to pass, is what he's saying.
I understand. Hey, G. Bush, to steal your line.
That's what he's saying.
I'll read
I
the
agree.
subtitle.
Nice summation.
Put it
Yeah.
in subtitles.
And by the way, all these tweets about Aaron Rodgers, everybody's got tattoos, Aaron Rodgers. You're not that creative.
Whoa,
By the way, it was a
I don't.
Well, okay, so most players have tattoos.
No
Not
tattoos.
Tyvis. He keeps it clean.
You know.
for
Aaron
you.
Rodgers should not have won the MVP, by the way. And
Who should have? Jonathan.
Joe Burrow.
You think Joe?
outta here.
I wouldn't have been opposed to that, but I would have. If anybody should have won it, it should have been Cooper
He
Kupp.
took the worst team in
That's a good
football to the
point.
Super Bowl.
Cooper Kupp won the Triple Crown and won the Super Bowl,
I-
and I think he won MVP
yeah,
of the
oh,
Super
yeah.
Bowl. What more do you
Yeah.
want?
Wide receivers don't make the impact that the quarterback.
He did.
That guy did.
He took the
That's
I'm about to say, man,
the
he
Detroit
did
Lions
everything that he could possibly do.
Agreed,
It
but
can
he's
never.
not putting up those numbers with Jared Goff.
Hey, we
Not
got one
that
more
big.
question for
Yeah.
Dequel. One more question for Dequel. Steve, let's take it. Has a fan base ever been happier to get rid of a guy who they once thought was the savior?
I don't know if that's totally fair. Go ahead, Dequel.
So I was a part of the Brady Quinn DA Derek Anderson transition, and when I tell you, I had never heard a fan base cheer when a guy got injured more than I did at Cleveland Browns Stadium when Derek Anderson got injured and Brady Quinn came in. That was I had never been a part
Hold
of
on,
anything
wait a
like
minute.
that.
Dequel, I
Tim
got it.
Shots,
Hold on, because when CJ Beathard got hurt and San Fran and Jimmy went in, they went nuts.
Yeah.
And we on the
Yeah.
sideline was like, dang, he hurt. Like,
Messed
y'all ain't
up.
got no sympathy.
Right.
They
So I
cheered here
actually
when
got
Tim
to,
Couch
I'm-
was
I'm
too.
with you on that one. I got to witness that one too.
I think there's still a lot of fans that are sad that Baker's gone too. There's a good chunk of the fan base that is sad. that Baker's gone.
60%.
No,
I
not
don't know that.
that.
I don't know that high.
Listen, I'm on a
Yeah,
lot. Of,
yeah.
Listen, I'm on a lot of Cleveland Browns board. You got to understand something where the fan base has shifted from earlier last year. When playoff time when Odell was doing his thing, it was 75%.
Yes.
That was squarely in the corner
I
of
think
Baker
you're high with
Mayfield.
60 though. And it's a racial divide, too. That, to be honest, is a racial divide.
And I'll also point out that it's like sort of like looking at Twitter, and it's just that's the loudest contingent of the fan base. There are a lot of casual. My mom isn't telling you how she feels on there. She has no clue how to even get on Twitter. So what I'm saying is, like, there are people like that. There's a big part of the fan base, and we got an older part of this fan base that is not very active on social media, and we don't know exactly how they feel, and we can't
I think it's a third. I only think it's a third.
You know what? You know what's crazy?
It's about half.
Since he's been traded, the only well-wish I've seen is Wyatt Teller's wife.
She's always talking about it.
She tweeted something about how they got great people with Emily and
That
Baker.
is weird.
That's the only
I haven't been
thing
watching,
I've seen.
but
When
that's
Odell
Odell left. Oh, the Rams got a good one.
Everybody
My bro.
was tweeting about it.
This one I ain't heard a
That
thing.
is indicative. That is important.
It's interesting.
Yeah. No. So we established that.
All right, we got one more for Dequel, Mikey?
Yeah, well, this isn't even a question. You know what? Actually, I'm going to ask Dequel this. We talked about this earlier. Were you surprised by the maturity that Baker actually showed through the second half of this process? I know he went on the podcast and talked, and we kind of ripped him for that. But since then, he shut his mouth. He was quiet. He did his camp in Oklahoma with the kids. Were you actually impressed with a little bit of maturity he showed handling the second half of this process?
I mean, I think time will tell, but he had no choice. If he wanted to play in this league, he had to show 31 other teams that he could handle this situation appropriately. Now, we still have a lot of time to go because, listen, he's going to be in a room with a guy who was drafted, third overall in the same draft? There's a level of competitiveness there and a level of maturity you have to exude because, quite frankly, are they going to be in a position to help each other? But in the offseason, he said all the right things when the camera was in front of him to answer your question. But I think this situation here has to shape him, has to affect his level of maturity because, listen, we've said it before on this program, a lot of other guys have to deal with this all the time when you get drafted over and you're looking around you and you're the elder statesman as a young guy ready to take your position. And you got to learn how to deal with it. Unfortunately for him, it was on public display. And then you had a guy come in, get the biggest contract ever in your house. And with all this black cloud looming over him. So yeah, it was a tough pill to swallow. Do I think he can come out of it? Time will tell. Time will tell.
Dequel, great stuff as always, man. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you.
Wish you guys had a
There
great
you go.
Enjoy your drink. There you go.
Always.
There it is.
To you, sir.
Good. It's good.
And make sure, and everybody that's tuning in, make sure y'all subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland.
That's what I'm
Sports Show,
talking
man.
about.
We passed 9,000 subscribers yesterday. At 10,000, we're dumping chili on Anthony's head. So
Yes.
Come on now, let's get
Less
to
than
the chili.
So where we at
I
overall?
don't really want to do that.
we
I
just
don't want
passed
Anthony to have
9,000
to
this
take
morning.
chili
So
off.
He
we're probably at
volunteered.
9,000 in a couple.
Anthony, you shouldn't have volunteered for
Go.
that. I don't like
Make
that.
sure you hit that like button too, man. Listen, this is the hottest thing smoking on the internet right now. Listen, we need you to hit that like button so everybody get our content. And by the way, we need to set a goal. We need a time frame. We need to be at 10,000 by when, McNuggets?
August
5
1st.
days after the Deshaun Watson suspension comes out.
When is that?
That's fair.
That'll probably be like, what, next week?
Yeah, next
What did
week.
you want to say that you're doing? I missed it. What are you doing to Anthony if we
Dumping chili
surpass?
on
Oh,
his
you're
head.
going to dump chili on him?
Dump some Skyline chili.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, I don't have any problems
We're
with that.
over 9. You said we're over 9,000?
We passed 9,000 this morning.
That's not
correct.
that bad or
If
humiliating.
If
I don't
y'all
wanna
checking
do
this
that to
out.
Anthony.
If he
like
doesn't
Anthony
mind
He
getting
volunteered.
chili dumped on,
Yeah. He
Chili
wants to
can
do
burn
it.
them.
not if we.
It's not going to be hot
keep it room
chili.
temperature.
It's like you crack the can
Do
and
the
you
ice
just,
bucket challenge with him or something?
I mean,
That's too
People still doing that?
too weak.
Nah.
No.
but he's open to it is the important thing.
you guys
We're
do
not
the ice
doing
bucket
this and you
challenge?
I
hate it,
jumped in
right,
the cold
Anthony?
tank.
Nah.
No, he's
Did you do the
okay.
ice bucket challenge? Did you do it, Mike?
No.
I did it in front of the Barley House.
That's cool. That's nice. I can see it. I don't like those things.
Yeah, if you're going to cut a check.
All right, guys.
It's funny.
Mike, you have another question for us? One more question for us?
Yeah, I got one more question for you guys, and then we'll go to top 5, good bet, bad bet,
Yeah,
and final
let's do it.
takes. Let me go through my list. I think we already hit on who the happiest Brown Baker got traded is. We all agree it's Myles Garrett, right? We could be in agreement there.
Yes. The receiving core.
Mari Cooper.
The receiving core.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I guess that's probably true.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, then let's end on this then. I
Yeah.
want to hear from each one of you.
Okay.
What's your favorite Baker memory? One.
Oh, I got
memory
an
that
answer.
stands out.
I got an answer.
remember
My favorite Baker memory would be the first time he came when they was playing the Jets
Jets,
that
yeah.
Thursday night game. I think Tyrod had got hurt. Baker comes in. and he does that. They do that 2-point conversion play where he catches it and they score. For some odd reason, that stadium was electrified after that. Like that was the energy that they needed at first. Energy, you like that? So I think that right there was the best moment that I got to watch from him.
Mike is the designated Baker bro today. What have you on this?
100% agree. Just a reminder, that was the season after the 0-16 season.
Yep.
After we
might have been our first win. I want to say that was the first win.
It was actually the first win, I think, in literally 2 years.
I think it was like 19 straight losses.
It was
20,
if you work it out by days, it was like 658 days or something like that, which is just insane. And everybody there at that point, we still don't know what we have in this guy. I was at this game. And you don't know what you have in him. Then he gets his opportunity. You knew he was going to get it eventually. It was just a matter of when. No offense, Tyrod Taylor or Tyrod, however you prefer it. I don't know. I don't remember. But regardless, when he went in, everybody was there was like an electricity in the joint, and everybody felt that. And then it really did feel like a changing of the guard. I'd been through too many of them at that point. False prophets who came forward, and I thought for a moment might be the answer that. But all the younger kids are really digging it. I'm just like, even at that point, I'm just like, you guys have no idea. Don't get your hopes up. But I found myself, a jaded old Browns fan like myself, getting lost in the moment and getting carried away and realizing that this was something magical. I was witnessing something magical, and all of these kids were witnessing something magical for the first time as Browns fans. And so, yeah, that was definitely
that was a great night, no doubt.
Yep.
I don't go to like I guess, the emotional route where it was magical or anything. I think I've watched every single throw Baker made in college, and then I've watched every single throw he's made in the pros, right? And when you look at his throws and you look at the mechanics and you look at the accuracy and you look at the first thing that jumps off is it wasn't I think it was the Philly special where he threw the ball back and he caught it. That was the splash play. But the play earlier in the drive was a 3rd and I believe 8 or something, and he threw this frozen rope down the hash, and it was in between safety and a corner all over Jarvis Landry. It was like a back shoulder throw, and I mean the ball goes millimeters by each of their hands. He fits it in, and the first thing that I thought to myself is, there's nobody, Colt McCoy, Brian Hoyer, Derek Anderson, Brady Quinn, Johnny. It didn't matter. Like, that was the first Cleveland quarterback, no disrespect to Bernie Kosar, that could fit that ball in that place. That was a throw Aaron Rodgers, the big arm guys throw. The balls that you like, wow, there's no way you could do that. He threw that rock, and I was just like, okay, we might got something here. Like, because that was the skill set, right? And then he was accurate his first year. He had big-time throws. If you go look at PFF and Pro Football Focus, they'll say big-time throws that are 25 yards where there's guys that are all over people. He had the most big-time throws according to Pro Football Focus. And so everybody fell in love with the swag, but he had the game, too, to match it. And you saw it his rookie year. And unfortunately, those type of throws were few and far between as his career went on. And I could just remember that year having a feeling like, dang, the Browns really actually got somebody that can deliver like that.
Obviously the first game stands out. Obviously the playoff win over the Steelers stands out. But the first thing I thought of was, I've been very critical, and I think a lot of people have been very critical of the fact that Baker almost never came through when it mattered late in the game, fourth quarter. Never. But there was one game he did. It was against the Bengals, right? In the 2020 season.
When Odell got hurt.
Right. Odell got hurt. It was a wild back-and-forth game. I think the final score was 38-35, if I remember, something like that. And he put up huge. And then the Bengals had scored a touchdown late to take the lead.
Yep.
And then Baker hit
DPJ. Back shoulder fade.
Down the sideline.
Perfect throw.
It was a great throw. That was the clutchest moment, I thought, of Baker's Browns career. That kind of stands out to me.
Baker's still undefeated against Joe Burrow.
Yep.
He is, which is insane.
Wow.
But meaningless in the end.
Wow.
No doubt. No denying. Ultimate top five, whatever we're calling it these days.
It is the ultimate five, and it is the
airfoils,
5
baby.
favorite
those
Baker
are good
moments
airfoils
of his career.
That's
And you guys mentioned a couple of them.
good
As
airfoils.
always,
Either way.
Love their
the Ultimate 5 is brought to us by Roundstone Insurance. Roundstone offers a better alternative for affordable quality health care. For more than a decade, Roundstone Insurance has been saving small and mid-sized businesses money, an average of 20%, yet 20%. Contact us today to learn how you can get great health care benefits that your employees will love and save money too. And today, it's the 5 best Baker moments.
Don't go square stone. Don't go triangle stone. Always go
Round
round
stone.
stone.
No hexagon, no diamond, no rhombus.
Don't fall
just
for
round
it.
stone.
Rhombus.
So let's, yeah, you like that? I remember my geometry
I heard
class.
that one in a
And we're gonna
long
run
time.
through these real quick. We mentioned a couple. Let's start with number 5. It was that game against Cincinnati. Second half, 22 straight completions. He was incredible. I mean, he was incredible that game. Nothing else you could say.
For sure.
Yep.
He
The
was.
Bengals did have the worst defense maybe in the history of football that year, but I'm not.
I don't like how you got my brother Von.
No qualifiers.
You got my brother Von Bell on that
Bell
picture.
played great last year.
I'm not with that. Whoever.
Hey, that's Anthony.
You got to
Damn
pick
Anthony.
another picture. We ain't putting no Buckeye crime on there.
If
We're
he
gonna
got
dump more
smoked, he
chili
got
on your
smoked.
Hey, Von Bell had a big year this past year.
Yeah, he did.
Played really well. Go
All right,
ahead.
let's keep it moving.
Contract year
Number
coming
4. Baker's insane first half versus Tennessee. 4 touchdowns.
Yep.
Incredible performance.
Donovan Peoples-Jones caught that long touchdown. He was on. Jarvis Landry had a touchdown. And by
They
the
almost
way,
blew the game, didn't
they did. Defense number 23. I still don't say your name, number 23. And by the way, the best celebration in the last 5 years. You got the Hollywood Higgins walking the red carpet and Baker Mayfield running in, sliding, taking them pictures like this on his knee.
That was sweet.
Fire.
It was sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, they be doing it in Carolina.
All right, number 3. No one mentioned this today, but his quote about waking up and feeling dangerous. That will forever live in infamy with Baker Mayfield.
I think the connection is the Baker bro connection. That's why we're all kind of turned off by it. I mean,
Yes.
at
the time it was cool. Now it's nauseating.
Even at the time, I got it. I got why it excited people and everything. But at the same time, I was just like a little bit. It was a little cringe, but I understood why it obviously hit home. But then it meant if you are a tavern, like somebody who visits taverns like myself at times, that just meant like 2 straight years of having the worst dudes on earth scream like, "I'm feeling dangerous!" Like,
Oh my
like
gosh.
on a karaoke
Not
mic
to
or
get
something.
political, but it felt very Trumpian, and that's why it was.
And they got the MAGA hats on, but with the Kanye West glasses with no shades on.
How many "I'm feeling dangerous" tattoos are wandering around Harmon Brook Park right now? Like that will always be there.
On the girl, definitely on the girl from the Mozgov commercial.
No doubt.
Yes.
That's a lower back tattoo. It says "feeling dangerous" right back there.
But with a guy. Like,
We're going to go number 2 and number 1 back to back because I'm a little different than what you guys said. My number
You're a lot
2 was the
different, but
win
go
over
ahead.
the Jets. I thought that was spectacular. But I thought number 1 was the playoff win over Pittsburgh, something they hadn't done since 1994. So
Totally
that was,
fair,
in my opinion,
of
the
course.
number 1
How far
moment in
we've
Baker
come.
Mayfield's Brown career.
less than a year.
It's a great list, actually. I respect the list.
Yeah, it was a good
Thank you.
list.
Let's do a little. There you go.
And I
There's
like
the
the
top
time
five.
he's
It
giving
looks
you
like he
positive
Might be
reinforcement.
stoned in number 3, doesn't he? He could be stoned.
Well, he's
And we
feeling
got to ask the internet, by the way. And as
why you
always,
saw
when we
that.
ask the internet, we ask them Baker questions, and that's brought to us by our favorite airfoil company.
Now we bring in the
PCC
best
Airfoils.
airfoils
Are you looking
in
for a
town.
job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. The question we asked today,
CC.
how would you grade the Baker Mayfield trade for the Browns? And we got some very varied answers. Let's see the first one. Zach gave it a D. He said the Colts got more for Wentz than the Browns got for Baker. Next one, Steve.
Okay, Zach.
Easily an A if you let Twitter and the talking heads convince you that the Browns were going to have to release him or pay his full $18.5 million. You were duped. Paying $10.5 for a potential 4th. Fantastic. Next one. Ask me after week 1 because if we lose, we paid $10 million for a guy to hand us an L, and that will not feel great. And lastly,
Great answer.
considering where they were to get $8 million and a conditional draft pick for a guy that at best could have gotten you a 3rd-round compensatory pick 2 years from now is a solid return. Grade A. So I think it was a pretty varied bag from the Browns
Good point,
fans.
Lunchbox.
I give it a B.
Yeah, how would you
give it a
guys
B.
grade?
With what they had to work with.
Yeah, I mean, I can't give it an A. They
No.
only got a 4th-round pick. I mean,
No, you don't take. You
I
don't
can't
have.
give it an A.
You
But
can't
it's
take
as
the,
good, under the circumstances, they did as well.
You can't
as they
trade the first pick in the draft from 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and get a 5th-round pick, possible 4th,
Right.
and be like A+. Nice
could. You'll
job.
pay more than half his salary.
We got to go back and we have to second guess, with Dorsey's talk. Like, Would
Yeah. Can we grade Dorsey?
Would you take that back? I asked him because even he had an opportunity to get him with the Lions, and he said no.
All right, Mike, time for good bet, bad bet. How we doing?
It is good bet, bad bet. Yesterday, a terrible day for us across the board. G. Bush, Bold, Jay all went 1-2. Brad went 0-3. Brad's lost 9 straight bets. Brad is 0-3, 0-3, and 0-3 this week.
Brad is like the Cavs after LeBron left.
This is tough. Yeah, Bull, you're the first to 60, though. Congratulations.
Well done, young man.
And today, there's no Guardians game, so there are a bunch of random baseball bets. But
good. The Guardians need a day off.
We are very varied, so we're going to have some legitimate movement in the standings. Let's take the first one, Steve. Over 8.5 runs in the Yankees-Red Sox game tonight.
Yeah,
2 goods,
Bull.
2 bads. Explain yourself.
This is a no-brainer.
I'm about to say, like,
what the hell Polk and
I'm going up.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm going opposite. I just had to. I'm kind of a skid right now, so I got to try and make up some ground.
Red Sox and Yankees don't play a lot of
That's
low-scoring
what I'm
games.
saying. I don't. Like this.
I
ain't
know
what
you got
this-
Garrett Cole pitching, right?
Yeah,
Cole pitching, yeah.
Why would I think he's going to get shelled today?
I don't think he's going to get shelled, but I think it's what is
it? It's 8.5, right?
And the kid pitching for the Red Sox has done a nice
correct.
job, but
Both
the
pitchers
Yankees
have
like
like ERAs that are around 4 or something right now. I don't know.
I can see
Just
at
a
least 10 runs on the board for sure.
Well, I have no idea. I could be.
I mean, I don't either, but
This is darts at a
All
darts.
right, the second one. Under 6.5 runs in the Padres-Giants game.
Okay.
So very opposite here.
Oh,
And
so I'm
once again, Bull, you're on the wrong side of history.
Why would you guys think a baseball game is going to have less than 6 runs? I mean, it's not like that.
Listen, today was one of the ones I went like this.
Yeah.
There's nothing Cleveland related to go
Right.
go
Like
off
this.
today.
That way.
I'm usually so familiar with the back end of the Padres starting pitching rotation, and I feel kind of bad that I'm not more prepared. No, I have no clue.
Padres, Giants.
You know what though? When you go in and do it like this, you actually win more than you think. So
That's
sad.
I might go 3-0.
Hey, Brad makes
As my good
legitimate
friend
picks
Dustin
every
Fox
day, and
would say,
Brad's
it's not
0-9
fun
the
betting
last
the under.
3.
Betting the under is boring. You never want to root for the under.
All right, last one. Shohei Ohtani will record an RBI today. And this is once again split.
G.
Brad and not Brad, Bull and G. Complete opposites today. You guys will be 3 games separate.
You can't call out no RBIs or home runs like that. Like
can't
that
with
ain't-
this freak.
you got to have somebody on base.
First of all,
when you get a hit, it's not
If you
like
hit a home run, you know.
wait
gotta hit
a
home runs.
minute. Hitting the ball is hard.
right.
Yeah.
Let
But not for
alone.
Shohei
Not for this
Ohtani.
guy. Not for this wizard.
Nah.
Throwing the MVP 2 years in a row.
Yep.
By the way, we've been
He's batting
debating
third as a pitcher.
for much of June. People were debating Aaron Judge versus Jose Ramirez from MVP, and Ohtani will end up winning it over both of them.
Yeah.
There you go.
Maybe the
What's up,
Cy
Mike?
Young too.
I got one
By
more
the way, if
stat.
Ohtani doesn't play, that bet doesn't count.
It doesn't count,
Yes,
correct.
it does.
No.
Yes.
I found one more stat I want to pull to our attention here.
Yeah.
Steve, let's take that full. The Browns have taken 3 quarterbacks, number 1 overall, since they've been a franchise.
I remember Bobby Garrett well.
Yeah. The combined record of 51 and 67. We love Tim Couch. Baker Mayfield may go down as a valued member of the Browns history, but that's a tough record for 2 guys.
I don't know Bobby Garrett. The
He didn't
50s.
play a single game
I
for the
don't
Browns,
care
by
about
the
the
way.
50s.
Who didn't?
That is meaningless. But no offense to old people out there. That wasn't real football. There were no black guys playing. Get out of here. It was all white people.
Does kind of dilute the pool a little
I
bit.
mean, come on. I don't care what happened that long ago.
And we have one more thing before
But wait a
final
second,
takes.
real quick. In fairness to Baker a little bit, that brings down his record. His record wasn't that far in the 500.
He was 29 and 30.
But to be fair to Tim Couch, Baker had way much more talent around him than Tim Couch did.
This
by
is not a
miles.
shot at either. I just
Yeah, no,
wanted
I know.
to just
I
point
know.
out the fact that
Yeah,
they've
yeah.
had 3 quarterbacks taken number 1 overall.
Yeah.
We did ask Bree, by the way. Bree's going to slide in the booth tomorrow. I'm going to slide out into Mr. Polk's chair.
Nice.
And Bree did some social media research for today, and this is one of the tweets she wanted us to show. We talked about the longest yard.
Yes.
This is from FanDuel. This is Sam Darnold
I'll never get to
as
play.
a meme.
Now, let's be clear. This is not the original.
No, this is the Adam
This was
Sandler
the remake
version.
with Adam Sandler, which is okay, but not as good as the original.
Yeah,
one.
you don't
I never
need that.
watched the original, actually.
By the way,
The
you know how
original's
Burt
great.
Reynolds plays the coach in this one?
Yeah.
In the original, Burt Reynolds was in the Adam Sandler role.
Yeah, he was in the meme machine. He was the
quarterback.
quarterback. And that's incredibly.
Meme machine.
It is intensely problematic. In case anyone's interested in having a good time, is what I'm saying. If you watch that original Longest Yard right now, you rewatch it, you'll just be like, whoo, oh my, that's how we address those. Okay, that's
well,
a lot of.
Same thing with we talked about the other day. I think Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh yeah,
Lewis raped
horrified.
that girl, basically.
Yes, the heroes of Revenge of the Nerds were essentially we're date rapists.
Yes.
And we were just like, they got her. It was
we're rooting for them.
It is not.
And John Goodman was skinny there, which was disturbing.
Different times, everyone.
We need him fat.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One more thing before final takes. We talked about needing people to subscribe. We've got 31 people who've subscribed since we said that. So continue to subscribe, please.
We need
subscribe to the page. We got to hit
Steve
11K by the end of the month. That is
If we don't get 19 more, so we at least total 50 today, then Steve doesn't let us have any water afterwards.
By the way, that used to be a thing that you used to get away with too back in the day. If we don't win, you don't get no water. Then people just started dying.
Yep.
And they were like,
so,
well,
different times.
All right, time for final takes, guys. Time to start us off. Here we go.
Did you have anything? Did you ask Tyvus? Did he have
Tyvus,
anything?
I'm sorry. Did you not?
Did you
Yeah,
I
no,
assumed
we
everybody
good.
had
We good.
Jeez.
thought he was in his bag like,
Hold on, put the camera back. We good. Go ahead, we good. So tomorrow is my daughter's second birthday.
Hey!
Too. Life goes fast, and what I want to say is that I always wanted a boy, but every man needs a girl. And now that I have two daughters, like it's really changed my life, and it's changed my perspective of a lot of things. You know, I want to do everything I can. When I look at my daughter before I leave, it's like she gives me this look, and it's the happiest moment of our lives because we play all the time. But now it's like I can't fail her. Like I have to do everything in my power to protect her and make sure that she has a great life. I mean, my life wasn't the greatest, but it was okay. And I want her to have a better life than I did. And that's why when people be like, well, how are you prepared for this? Like, how are you ready to just do everything? It's because in my mind, I've made my mind up that I will not fail my daughters at all, and whatever that means. And my job is to only make sure that when you get older and you become of age, that you are seen as an equal in this world. Because right now, you know, women's are losing rights with the whole abortion thing going on. And I just want to make sure that you understand that your father is going to do everything in his power to make sure that you are seen as an equal in this world because you deserve it.
Nice. What's your name?
Leliana.
Happy
Marie Powell.
Happy birthday, Leliana.
Well said. Well said.
Okay, when the news broke yesterday, about where Baker was going to land for sure, I did what most rational people did, and I went online and booked tickets for me and the lady to go to that game. We're going to Carolina for the actual game.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you through?
Yeah, we are. We're going to go down there and check it out. Yeah. I don't know what it's going to be, a cluster, but it's going to be an interesting cluster of chaos. It's going to be a little reunion down there. It's going to be me. Now, not just me, because I looked at the roster. It's going to be me. It's going to be the old Baker bro, the original Baker bro himself. Of course, we have Hollywood Higgins. Not only that, Austin Corbett's down there. I don't know if you knew that. Cam Irving is actually he's down there. Yes, and Zane Gonzalez. Wow. It is a reunion down in Carolina. I'm coming down. I don't know who's going to be quarterbacking my team. I don't know who's going to be quarterbacking the other team. I don't know much about Charlotte, to be honest. But I'm going to be down there, and you guys better put on some kind of a display for me because we used all of our Southwest vouchers that were left over from a canceled flight, and you've got to earn our allegiance down there. So, spring break, baby. Let's go.
Man.
I know.
He's really going.
Yeah, we're going.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm going down.
Serious?
Yeah.
Charlotte's a great city, by the way, Polk. You'll have a great time.
I'm looking forward to
I'll give
it.
you some recs.
Great.
Yeah. Well, you know, Baker, I'll tell you what, man. Sometimes you get people, right? And I talk about relationships, like sometimes you get people and they just really not the person for you long term. They just good for that time period, right? It just works out well, right? There's a lot of people I've dated or come across that have contributed, good, bad, or indifferent, to who I am today. Maybe they thought I wasn't gonna be nobody.
It's an evil laugh right there.
Maybe they just thought, you know, hey, I should be doing more with my life. Well, that's awesome too. But there's always people that come in your life and they're there for a specific reason, for a specific season. And Baker was that way with the Cleveland Browns. Baker had his purpose. Baker was here to give us what I would call a little encouragement and a shot of courage to say, look, Cleveland, we could do things too. He was the first person we got an opportunity to see on commercials. He's the first person we had an opportunity to get primetime games like Monday night, Thursday night. We were always a 12 o'clock game. Baker Mayfield came along and gave us what we needed at that time. And he gave us that enthusiasm, that exuberance, and that attitude back to say, listen, Cleveland is just not a place you stop and just take a dump on. Cleveland is actually here, and we got some stuff too. I will tell you this, Baker, hey, you served your purpose. Shout out to you, because I will say this, Cleveland is a better place after you left it, but you did your thing, and we salute you.
Nice. That was well said. Yep.
You know, I also am a little sentimental for Baker and the Baker Bros. So let me talk to the Baker Bros. I owe the Baker Bros an apology. I'm being very serious here. You know, I have been hard on Baker, especially the last year. I have been hard on the Baker Bros. I have been dismissive of Baker's success. Yesterday, I was on my podcast. I was basically singing in excitement for Baker leaving, and a few people on Twitter got upset with me, and I hate to offend. So to those people that I hurt with my singing and joyous behavior for Baker going, let me say this heartfelt apology. Are you serious? There's no apology coming. His ass is out here. See ya. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, Baker.
Not cool, bro.
Wait a minute.
Oh my God!
Thought you were gonna be cool.
I got a couple of tweets. Bull, you're so unprofessional. Why are you singing? Unprofessional? I do white man's overbite on the air, for crying out loud. I'm not trying to be professional. We're trying to have fun and tell it like it is. And if you don't like my honesty, well, bleep you. Do something else.
Not cool,
I don't
bro.
care about Baker.
Dirty son of a...
You need to calm down. We need
I'm
to
all
have
fired up, and Mike's giving me a wrap-up
we need to have a few white
This is like
claws and
yesterday.
chill
It
out.
ended so perfectly.
You killed my mojo.
You're killing it,
I
Bull.
was not done. Look at Mike. He looks like Zach Galifianakis.
Hey, listen.
In the what's the movie?
It's all good, bro. It's all good. All right?
All right, no apologies
Nothing but
at all
love.
to the Baker Bros.
None but love.
But I love you if you still want to listen, and if you hate me, that's okay. I'm not going to block you on Twitter. I still love you. Not like Baker and Odell who both blocked me and Trevor Bauer. Screw them all. Not Odell. Odell, even though you blocked me, I'm okay with you coming back. Guys, great job. Who's here tomorrow? Oh, yeah, Mikey McNuggets and Brad Sellers will be in for Tyvus and Mike Polk. You guys, see you later. We'll see you tomorrow.
Feel dangerous.
We got to go. Wrap it up.
Subscribe.
Wrap it up.
Subscribe.
Wrap it up.
Subscribe.
Oh, evil.
He's the most interesting black man alive.